And that's absolutely true. Once inside the kitchen, the two of them started cooking together with remarkable teamwork. The division of labor was very clear. Mu Baining could even know what Mu Omo wanted to do just by looking at him. We've reached the point where we're on the same wavelength. More than an hour later, Mu Oxy was eating potato chips and durian while watching Balala the fairies, and suddenly felt a little bored. I put on my shoes and happily ran into the kitchen. Brother, sister-in-law, I'm here to help you. Just then Mu Omo's face darkened. Sis, you've come at just the right time. We just finished cooking when you arrived. Oh, this. Mu Oxy was taken aback. Indeed, the kitchen table was already filled with all kinds of delicious food. My stomach started growling as soon as I smelled it. Hey, hey. Mu Oxy chuckled. Actually, I came here to help carry the bowls. As she spoke, she prepared to pick up the bowl. Zai, be careful, the bowl is very hot. You. Hissed Tilda. Before Mu Baining could finish speaking, Mu Oxy had already swiftly withdrawn her hand. She just touched the side of the bowl and got burned. It's so hot. Buff. Mu Omo chuckled this. Sis, go eat your potato chips. Your delicate skin isn't suited for housework. I'll find a boyfriend like me in the future, someone who can make my wife never have to lift a finger. Mu Oxy. She turned to look at Mu Baining, but sister-in-law cooked. All right, stop making things worse. Mu Omo, Mu Baining, and Mu Oxy carefully placed the bowls on the dining table, preparing to cook. They had just bought fruit juice at the supermarket, and Mu Oxy poured it for them. After they were all seated, Mu Oxy didn't stand on ceremony at all, picked up a large piece of fish and wolfed it down. It can be said that she has absolutely no ladylike qualities. She's very pretty, but her eating habits are really awful. Even Mu Omo couldn't stand it anymore. Zai, can't you eat more politely? When I'm with my brother and sister-in-law, I don't need to be polite. Mu Oxy chuckled, and Mu Omo ignored her, turning her attention to Mu Baining. Ning, Oxy has always been like this. She's not like this outside. Haha, I think this is great. Mu Baining was also a little hungry, so she picked up a small piece of fish. Just as he was about to put it in his mouth, Mu Omo suddenly said, Wait, Ning. Mu Baining stopped what she was doing, her eyes filled with confusion. What's wrong? There's a thorn. Kingjiang fish doesn't have small bones, but it does have many relatively large bones. Of course, it's easy to spot once it's in your mouth, but since we've seen it, let's just make it happen. Mu Omo reached out and removed the thorn. Then I picked up a crayfish and peeled it for him. As a boyfriend, it's really unacceptable not to peel shrimp for your girlfriend. Seeing this, Mu Oxy was secretly delighted. Sai, her brother is peeling shrimp for her again, Tilda, Omega. When they were little, Mu Omo often helped her peel shrimp. He even fed it to her directly. It's still the same as always. Mu Omo had already peeled a shrimp. Mu Oxy had already opened her mouth. Mu Omo, who was standing to the side, did not notice Mu Oxy's actions at all. Come on, Ning, open your mouth and taste how delicious the shrimp your husband made is. Mu Oxy. At the same time, Mu Baining's expression immediately turned somewhat shy upon hearing Mu Omo's words. That Momo is so annoying, peeling shrimp for her in front of her sister. She still needs to be fed. So shy. But Mu Baining still opened her mouth. The shrimp meat was then fed into her mouth. Today he made spicy braised shrimp. The taste is absolutely amazing. With a light chew, it's absolutely delicious. Seeing Mu Baining's expression, Mu Omo said softly, How is it, Ning? Isn't it especially delicious? She nodded emphatically. She ate quite a lot of crayfish, and Mu Omo's cooking was indeed exceptionally delicious. As expected of a master chef, at this moment, Mu Baining suddenly saw Mu Oxy standing to the side with a dark expression. Chinese letter, up arrow. This is Mu Oxy's expression. Noticing Mu Baining's gaze, Mu Omo also realized what was happening. He looked at Mu Oxy and thought, Goodness, my sister is obviously jealous. What's wrong, Oxy? Snort. Mu Oxy snorted, then said in a pitiful voice, You used to peel shrimp for me, but now, he doesn't love her anymore, Tilda. Mu Omo was stunned, never expecting that Mu Oxy would feel wronged because of this. He said, Is it my fault? Why don't you find a boyfriend at school? That way someone could peel shrimp for you. Mu Oxy, HMPH, how annoying. Mu Baining chuckled. She hadn't expected Mu Oxy to suddenly get angry over this. She quickly said, Okay, little sister, how about I peel the shrimp for you? Mu Zioxy is such a cute girl. Because she is an only child, she would like to have a younger brother or sister. At this point, she completely regarded Mu Zioxy as her own younger sister. Mu Zioxy smiled after hearing Mu Baning's words. Okay, Tilda, sending love to my sister-in-law. She stretched out her fair little hand and made a heart shape with her fingers for Mu Baning. Mu Ziomo said, then, I'll peel shrimp for Ningning and Ningning can peel shrimp for Zioxy. Mu Zioxy, HMPH, I'm going to peel shrimp for my sister-in-law too. Hee, I'm not going to peel them for you, brother. Do you think I care? Mu Ziomo didn't take her words seriously. Soon, the three of them were enjoying their meal together in a harmonious atmosphere. The snowflakes outside are still falling on this beautiful city. Mu Zioxy glanced at the snowflakes outside the window and then said, Brother, I've already decided where we're going to play in 7 days. Upon hearing her words, both Mu Ziomo and Mu Baning showed expressions of curiosity. Mu Zioxy said, it's so cold now, of course we should go to Sanya. It's very warm in Sanya now, so I don't need to wear those tights anymore. Why don't we go to Sanya? Well, Mu Ziomo thought about it carefully. Going to Sanya is not out of the question. It's just a bit far from Shanghai. He neither agreed nor refused, but instead focused his gaze on Mu Baning's face. She nodded and said, sure, it's been a long time since I've been to Sanya. This season is perfect for visiting Sanya. Upon hearing Mu Baning's words, Mu Zioxy immediately became excited. Great, I can wear pretty dresses again. Chapter 169, got a wife but forgot his sister. Phew, it's so good to be young. Mu Baning couldn't help but sigh. Hearing her words, Mu Ziomo frowned. Why do you say that? Upon hearing this, Mu Baning said, when I was young, I also liked to dress like your sister in winter. But ever since I got rheumatism, I haven't dared to wear those clothes. Mu Ziomo was speechless. Old cold legs, my ass. How can someone get rheumatoid arthritis at the age of 22? Of course, Mu Baning was just trying to lighten the mood. She didn't mean anything by it. Once he had decided on the destination, he felt relieved. I'll be busy for the next 7 days, so I don't plan to book tickets today. As long as tickets to Sanya aren't hard to buy, you can buy them again in 2 or 3 days. Without giving it much thought, the three continued eating. Come on, Ningning, let me continue peeling shrimp for you. Come here, Ningning, give me a kiss, Tilda. Mu Zioxy rested her cheeks on her small hands, her expression full of disdain. She thought to herself, Tusk, I never thought my brother would be this kind of person, forgetting his sister now that he has a wife. There's no love left. The next few days went exceptionally well. Mu Ziomo wandered around the Magic Science University with Mu Baning, occasionally receiving training and learning from the school. Next semester, he will directly teach professional courses. In other words, he replaced Mu Baning's position. Of course, this was done after careful consideration by the school and after testing him. This doesn't matter to Mu Baning, as her main source of income is no longer her salary from Magic University. It was a Welsh restaurant. For her, not being a professor would be easier. That's it. January 10th, 7:00 a.m. Snap. Mu Ziomo pushed open the door to Mu Zioxy's room and poked her head inside. Sis, are you done cleaning up? They're still putting putty on your face. Mu Zioxy was putting on makeup at that moment. As a sophisticated girl, like all girls, I care a lot about my image. Upon hearing Mu Ziomo's words, her expression immediately changed. Japanese letter, de letter FF89. Who are you accusing of scraping putty on their face? You, Tilda. Mu Ziomo gave a mischievous smile and said, your skin is already quite fair, so don't put on any more foundation. It will just make you look unnatural. It's so hot in Sanya. I'm just applying sunscreen, Tilda bro. If you don't understand, don't talk nonsense, okay? Sunscreen my ass. His face darkened. I don't know what's gotten into Mu Zioxy, but she's wearing a really thick layer of foundation today. But when Mu Zioxy saw herself in the mirror, she felt beautiful. Brother Lai, you should put some on too. I'll pass. He waved his hand, then glanced at his watch. Hurry up and pick up the girl, my flight's at 11. It's still early, there's plenty of time, Tilda. Mu Zioxy showed no sign of being in a hurry, and Mu Ziomo sighed and didn't bother with her anymore. Instead, he took out his phone and sent a message to Mu Baning. Ningning, how's the preparation going? She officially started her vacation 2 days ago, after finishing her training at the Magic University. Then Mu Baning could no longer stay at the school, so she packed her bags and went home. Of course, she also told her parents that Mu Omo had been recognized by the school, graduated early, and was going to go home with him for the Chinese New Year. Mu Changle and Li Qingru readily agreed. With Mu Omo graduating and becoming a professor at the Magic Science University, they felt that getting married and having children was not far off. This is a good thing. After finishing up and waiting a while, Mu Baining replied with a message. I'm almost ready. When are you coming? They're checking out of the hotel today, and they won't be taking their luggage with them. So he and his sister will first leave their suitcases at Mu Baining's house. After school starts, I can send my luggage to Mu Xyroxy. He replied, I'll be right there. Xyroxy is putting on makeup. Wait for him. After putting down her phone and waiting a while, Mu Xyroxy came running in excitedly. She wrapped her arms around Mu Omo's neck and said, My dear Gigi, I'm ready. When are we going to your sister-in-law's house? My dear Gigi. Vomit. Mu Omo really wanted to punch her for that nickname. Where did you learn this word from? But she's my own sister, so I have to be patient. Ready? Let's check the room one last time to make sure we haven't forgotten anything. Mu Xyroxy is usually careless and often forgets to bring certain things. Oh, Tilda, then you should pack your things too. Let's go. Mu Xyroxy returned to her room, packed her things, and after making sure nothing was left behind, they left the hotel together. Mu Omo had already ordered a minivan online, mainly because there were 4 suitcases in total, which couldn't fit in a regular taxi. Commercial vehicles aren't very expensive. They're affordable for now. After the 2 people got into the car, it headed towards Xingfu residential area. In the car, Mu Omo turned her head and glanced at Mu Xyroxy. When you meet your sister-in-law's parents later, you know what to call them, right? Mu Xyroxy nodded. Of course we should call them uncle and aunt. Your sister isn't stupid, HMPH. As she spoke, she held up her small, pink fist and gestured in front of him. Cute yet fierce. I thought you didn't know, okay? I was wrong. I'll forgive you this time. Soon, the car stopped at the entrance of Xingfu community. Mu Baining was already waiting for them here. And of course, Mu Omo had also brought gifts for her uncle and aunt in advance. The car door opened, and the driver helped them unload their suitcases and gifts. After thanking them, the driver left. Sister-in, Mu Xyroxy called out, and at that moment Mu Baining also came over. After seeing Mu Xyroxy, he couldn't help but rub her head. Xyroxy, your makeup looks so beautiful today. Hey, yes, sister-in-law. Girls all like to be complimented on their beauty, and Mu Xyroxy is no exception. Just then, she suddenly shivered and turned her head to look at Mu Omo. Brother, I'm a little cold. Why don't we go upstairs first? Because she was going to Sanya later. She was only wearing a very thin layer of sheer tights today. The outside temperature is several degrees below 0, which is really unbearable. Mu Baining looked at Mu Xyroxy's legs. Because they were thin, the bones in her knees were clearly visible. Because she had worn it before, she knew that Mu Xyroxy was wearing very little today. Wearing so little, it's no wonder they're cold. Mu Baining felt a little sorry for her. She said, Why are you dressed so thinly? Xyroxy, we need to go to the hotel to change clothes when we get to Sanya. It's too early to change now. Go to my room later, where something warm, you hear me. Chapter 170, he was envious of old Wang next door, who strolled around with his child every day. Mu Baining's tone was like a mother disciplining her child. Mu Omo was taken aback. These words were just like what his parents said. Okay, I see, sister-in. Although Mu Xyroxy was somewhat reluctant, she still nodded. Indeed, it's too cold now. My body simply can't handle it. Let's hurry up and go, so Xyroxy doesn't get cold. Mu Baining quickly took the suitcase from her and hurriedly led the way. Soon, they entered the building where Mu Baining lived, and then took the elevator. The elevator doors slowly opened, and Mu Baining opened the door as well. Snap! Having already heard that Mu Omo and Mu Xyroxy were coming, Mu Changle and Li Qingru were both at home today. The moment the door opened, Mu Changle and Li Qingru quickly stood up from the sofa in the living room and went to greet Mu Omo and Mu Xyroxy. Xyomo, you're here, Tilda. Mu Changle saw the gift in Mu Omo's hand. Oh, you're here. Why did you bring a gift like last time? Uncle, this is what I should do. At the same time, Mu Xyroxy had already stepped forward. With a playful smile, she greeted Mu Changle and Li Qingru. Hello, uncle and aunt. As she spoke, she gave a slight bow. Oh my goodness! Upon hearing Mu Xyroxy's voice, Mu Changle and Li Qingru both turned their attention to this quirky little girl. Li Qingru's eyes lit up. You must be Zai Ozai. Look at you, what a beautiful girl. Mu Changle, yes, she's much prettier than Ningning. Mu Baning's face darkened. Should I leave? He. Mu Zioxy blushed after being praised like that. No, my sister-in-law is prettier. Mu Zioxy was very good at talking. Just like when they met Mu Zia Omo, Mu Changle and Li Qingru immediately took a liking to her after meeting her. Come in quickly, it's so cold outside. Li Qingru quickly invited the three people into the house, and immediately a warm current spread throughout her body. This feeling is especially comfortable. Li Qingru got up and walked to the refrigerator, opened it, and took out some fruit and yogurt. Come on, Zioxy, please sit down. Have some strawberries and some yogurt. Have you had breakfast, or I'll go make you some? Li Qingru was exceptionally enthusiastic, treating Mu Zioxy like her own daughter. Mu Zioxy shook her head. Auntie, I've already eaten, so I won't eat any more Tilda. Mu Baning turned her gaze to Mu Zioxy. Zioxy, we need to get there ahead of time. You're wearing such thin clothes. Hurry up and come into my room to change your clothes. I have some trousers here. Would you like to wear them? Sure. Mu Zioxy then stood up and, pulling her suitcase, looked around the bedroom, because she didn't know which room was Mu Baning's bedroom. Mu Baning said, Dad, Mom, Zioxy is wearing a little too thin clothes today. I'll go and take her to change her clothes. Momo, you can wait here for a while. Okay, you can go. Mu Ziomo nodded without giving it much thought. Come on, Zioxy, let's go to your sister-in-law's room. I'll go find you some clothes. Hey, I heard from you that you have a lot of cosplay outfits. Is that true, Tilda? The two entered Mu Baning's bedroom chatting and laughing, while Mu Ziomo sat on the sofa. Mu Changle, who was standing next to him, said with a smile, Ziomo, I heard you became a professor and even took Ningning's place. Forehead. Mu Ziomo nodded. Mu Baning had actually told Mu Changle about this. Nodding, Mu Ziomo hummed in agreement. That's right. Mu Changle, you even developed drone delivery technology at the Magic University of Science and Technology, huh? You're something else. At this point, Mu Changle patted him on the shoulder. He's achieved so much at such a young age. Any father-in-law would definitely like a son-in-law like that. Uncle, you flatter me. Mu Ziomo scratched his head. Mu Changle didn't dwell on the issue any further. He glanced at the black suitcase in the living room and asked, How's it going? Have you packed all your luggage for the trip? Mu Ziomo nodded. The temperature is high in Sanya, so there's no need to wear a down jacket, and I don't have much luggage. We can just buy it there when the time comes. It's okay. Oh, right, Mu Changle suddenly said. Yesterday, a colleague from the bureau came from Sawadika and brought some sunscreen and toothpaste. I heard that the sunscreen and toothpaste there are the best. I'll get you some. Upon hearing this, Mu Ziomo was taken aback. No need, uncle, I still have toothpaste. Oh dear, if you're going to use something, use the good stuff. I have plenty here, they'll expire if you don't use them. I'll go get them for you right now. As he spoke, Mu Changle stood up. Soon he brought over a large box of toothpaste. The toothpaste tube was printed entirely with Sawadika script, which Mu Ziomo couldn't understand at all. Moreover, the packaging box is quite large, so there should be quite a few tubes inside. This is it. I can use it when brushing my teeth at night. It's really useful. Mu Ziomo was taken aback. Since it had already been handed to him, he had no choice but to accept it. However, Mu Changle did not hand it to him directly. Instead, he opened his suitcase and stuffed it inside. This left Mu Ziomo a little confused. What kind of operation is this? Just then, the door to Mu Baning's bedroom clicked open. Mu Zioxy and Mu Baning walked out one after the other. At this moment, Mu Zioxy changed into a pair of beige trousers, which were indeed Mu Baning's. After coming out, Mu Zioxy started showing off in front of him. Brother, how do I look? Do my sister-in-law's pants fit me well? The two are not that far apart in height, and Mu Zioxy's clothes do fit Mu Baning's quite well. It fits perfectly and looks great. Mu Zioxy smiled happily, then checked the time. So, should we go now? Mu Changle exclaimed, they're leaving already. Right. Li Qingru and Mu Changle quickly stepped forward to see them off. Soon, Mu Changle and Li Qingru saw the three people off. After closing the door, Mu Changle took a deep breath and patted his chest. Li Qingru, who was standing next to her, couldn't help but say, Is this really possible? The two of them just started dating not long ago. Can they really have a child? There's definitely no problem. Mu Changle said, Things are different now than they used to be. Young people these days are very open-minded. I've already pricked holes in the TT, so don't worry. That's right, the toothpaste Mu Changle just gave Mu Omo actually contained a box of condoms that he had tampered with. My goal is to hold the baby as soon as possible, as long as Mu Omo and Mu Baining do. There's no problem. He couldn't help it. He was envious of old Wang next door who strolled around with his child every day. P.S. Since I revised the story, this book's earnings have fallen below 200. Well, please give me some flowers to comfort me. Good night, dear readers. Tilda. Chapter 171, The Place Where Mom and Dad Proposed. Of course, Mu Omo and Mu Baining were completely unaware of the surprise Mu Changle had prepared for them. It was 2:20 p.m. After a 3-hour and 20-minute flight, the plane slowly landed at Sanya Phoenix Airport. In January, the average temperature in Sanya is 21.4 degrees Celsius. Compared to the sub-zero temperatures in Shanghai, the temperature here is incredibly comfortable. Wow, the temperature here is so nice and comfortable. On the plane, Mu Xyroxy had already taken off her thick coat. Needless to say, after getting off the plane, at this moment, Mu Xyroxy, pulling her pink suitcase, looked around with great curiosity. Brother, wouldn't it be great if Dad bought a house here? We can come here to spend the winter. He was stunned when he heard Mu Xyroxy's words. Buying a house in Sanya. Did they come here specifically to spend the winter? Go back and discuss it with your dad. See if he'll hit you with a slipper or a feather duster. Mu Xyroxy. Her face darkened, and just then Mu Baining, who was holding her hand, spoke up. It's okay, Xyroxy. After you graduate from university, I'll give you a house in Sanya. Upon hearing her words, Mu Xyroxy was stunned. Huh? Her sister-in-law gave her a house. Hearing this, Mu Omo frowned. Good heavens, Mu Baining's words were quite audacious. You know, Mu Xyroxy will definitely take it seriously. Really, sister-in-law? Mu Xyroxy looked at her expectantly, and Mu Baining nodded. Of course it's true. Now your sister-in-law will save money for you and buy you a big villa in the future. Heh, okay, Tilda. Mu Xyroxy smiled happily. Brother, did you hear that? My sister-in-law is going to buy me a big villa. Mu Omo rolled her eyes and said to Mu Baining, Look, we've spoiled Mu Xyroxy rotten. If she wants to buy a house here, let her work hard for it herself. HMPH, brother, you're so mean. The three of them chatted amongst themselves and quickly left Sanya Phoenix Airport. The sun was high in the sky, but after leaving the airport, a gentle breeze brought a refreshing coolness. The temperature is just right. The weather was perfect, with just the right amount of sunshine and a gentle breeze. Since it was his first time in Sanya, he had to admit that if he had a house in Sanya, he could come here every winter and it would be really comfortable. Brother, where are we going now? There was lunch on the plane. They had just eaten, but the portion wasn't very large. Mu Omo's idea was that the group would go to the hotel first to drop off their luggage, tidy up a bit, and if they were hungry, they could go out for a walk and get some food. Let's go to the hotel first. I booked a room with an ocean view. See view room. Mu Xyroxy was taken aback when she heard Mu Omo's words. She really liked ocean view rooms, but she only stayed in one during summer vacation when her dad took her there. At this moment, he was really looking forward to the feeling of facing the sea, with spring flowers blooming. Seeing Mu Xyroxy's surprised expression, Mu Omo nodded. Yes, in Luhuadu Scenic Area. Let me tell you, Xyroxy, Dad proposed to Mom at a seafood restaurant in Luhuadu Scenic Area. Hearing this, Mu Xyroxy was stunned. She murmured, Did Dad propose to Mom here back then? Yes, Tilda, he nodded. This is what Dad told me. You can take a look at Xiaming's book. My childhood sweetheart girlfriend is so sweet, starting from chapter 237. Mu Omo nodded. I'll go take a look later. At this moment, Mu Omo turned her gaze to Mu Baining. Ning Ning, you can go and take a look too. Mu Baining was taken aback. I understand. The car has arrived. At that moment, an Alphard minivan stopped in front of them. That's right, it's the car that Mu Omo booked in advance. The driver, a man in a suit and white gloves, got out of his car to help them with their luggage. High-end ride-hailing services like these offer exceptional service. Of course, the price is much higher than that of regular ride-hailing services. Please get in the car, all three of you. Soon Mu Omo, Mu Xyroxy, and Mu Baining got into the car. Soon the car started moving, and Mu Omo looked out the window at the scene outside. Coconuts grow on both sides of the road. It looks just like a scene from GTA 5. In any case, he is a 5-star good citizen. On the way, Mu Xyroxy excitedly shared the story of her childhood sweetheart, Xyo Oi, with Mu Baining. Mu Baining listened very carefully. Compared to Mu Xiaoxi and Mu Xiaomo, her childhood was indeed rather dull. At the very least, Mu Xiaoxi and Mu Xiaomo are siblings, and she also has a childhood sweetheart. As for Mu Baining, she didn't have many friends growing up, so she was quite envious of her. The car swayed and bumped along for about 40 minutes before arriving at the Luhuidu scenic area. This is a small island near the coast, planted with a lot of plants, and yes, there are many coconut trees. Cars can be driven in, so Mu Xiaomo asked the driver to drive the car in. A moment later, the car arrived at the shore, where a building that was entirely white stood. The building is mostly made of glass, and the blue sky is reflected in the sloping glass. This is the hotel that Mu Xiaomo booked. We've arrived, let's get off, Ning Ning. Tilda. Both girls were extremely excited. Mu Xiaoxi got out of the car first, without even taking her luggage, and ran towards the hotel entrance. Zai, your luggage. Hey bro, you can just carry it for me. She showed no intention of returning. Mu Baining, who was beside her, said, "It's normal for a child to be a little excited. It's okay. She is only 1 minute younger than me." Mu Baining rolled her eyes and glared at him. Mu Xiaomo and Mu Baining followed after them with their suitcases and booked 2 rooms at the front desk. This hotel only has 12 rooms, which isn't many, and of course, there's no distinction between high-end and mid-range. They're all double rooms at the same price. There are no standard rooms available. Mu Xiaoxi frowned slightly and said, "Brother, I thought you only booked 1 room. Don't joke around." Mu Xiaomo shook her head. Zai is an adult now. How can she still sleep with her brother? Although she said that, Mu Xiaomo was inwardly furious. "How old are you, little girl? Why are you still so immature? If you want to sleep with me, how am I supposed to arrange flowers?" Of course, despite her thoughts, Mu Xiaomo didn't voice them aloud. Even if you told her, Mu Xiaoxi wouldn't know what it meant. The word flower arrangement. How could someone as innocent as her possibly know it? Led by a hotel staff member, they quickly entered their room. Ding-a-ling tilde. The electronic lock opened, and Mu Xiaomo was immediately stunned by the scene before her as she pushed open the door. Because directly above the bed is a round piece of glass. In other words, you can see the starry sky. Mu Baining's eyes lit up and she clenched her small hands tightly. "Momo, this bed, we can see the stars." Chapter 172, Wall Slam, Kissing Professor Mu. "That's right." Mu Xiaomo nodded. "Actually, I already knew, and the weather in Sanya is particularly good. If nothing unexpected happens, we can see the stars tonight." Thinking of this, Mu Baining's face immediately turned red. It has to be said that Mu Xiaomo has considered quite a lot. How romantic, Omega. Noticing Mu Baining's blushing face, Mu Xiaomo tilted her head slightly. "So, do you like it?" She hummed softly. Mu Xiaomo gently rubbed her head. "All right, Xiaoxi is still waiting for us. Let's tidy up a bit and go shopping first." "No, Tilda." Mu Baining suddenly said no. Suddenly, Mu Xiaomo was at a loss. "Don't want. Why is this girl throwing a tantrum?" Mu Xiaomo asked her. "What's wrong? We finally get to go on a trip. Doesn't Ning Ning want to go out and explore?" She opened her big eyes and glanced at her. "Give me a kiss, and I'll reluctantly go out with you." Upon hearing her words, Mu Xiaomo frowned. "A kiss for her? Reluctantly?" Goodness, this sentence sounds really weird. Tusk, Mu Baining clearly wants a kiss. At this moment, Mu Xiaomo finally managed to place his hand on her collarbone. Then, with a little force, push backward. At this moment, Mu Baining was very close to the wall. With Mu Xiaomo's push, her back slammed against the wall. She was still a little dazed. Mu Xiaomo used very little force, but it felt like a lot of force to her, who isn't a delicate, easily pushed over little girl. Immediately afterwards, Mu Xiaomo's head suddenly moved very close to hers. One arm was resting against the wall, next to her ear. Mu Baining already knew what Mu Xiaomo was going to do. Is he about to pin her against the wall? Earlier, Mu Baining, who frequently watches melodramatic romance dramas, says she loves wall slams, a type of romantic gesture where someone pins another against a wall. Her heart was pounding, and at that moment, Mu Xiaomo's lips were already pressed against hers. Of course, it's not just a simple kiss. Mu Xiaomo also stuck out her tongue. He released his hand from the wall, and then wrapped his arms around her neck. As always, Mu Baining's lips smelled sweet. The clash of male and female hormones instantly intensified the atmosphere in the room. Although Mu Baining's heart was pounding, she had already let go of her worries. Isn't the point of dating to kiss the person you like? I wish we could kiss every day. She hugged Mu tightly, their chests pressed together. A hissing sound kept coming from their mouths. Gradually, the two of them began to move their bodies, and then they plopped down on the bed. Momo, I'm having trouble breathing. Mu was already addicted to kissing him, and there was no sign of them separating for quite a while. Mu secreted a lot of dopamine, which felt very comfortable, but her breathing became more and more rapid. She was starting to feel overwhelmed by Mu constant kisses. Zumb. Mu slowly loosened her grip and, well, it was all stringy. He looked at Mu Baining, whose face was flushed. Ning Ning, you've only been kissing for a few minutes and you're already done. She nodded. Let's come again tonight. I'm still going out to play with my younger sister now. That works. Mu kissed her lips again. This time, Ning Ning, can you reluctantly come with me? Honey, I was wrong, Tilda. Mu Baining suddenly said, husband. Mu was taken aback. Surprise. That's amazing. This Ning Ning is actually calling him husband now. That's right, this was the first time Mu Baining called him husband. Of course, Mu Baining was also particularly shy when she said such things for the first time. They even wanted to bury their heads in it. She no longer dared to look at Mu It's okay, honey, I forgive you. He slowly stood up. Let's go, don't keep Xyroxy waiting too long. How about we go out for seafood tonight? Hearing this, Mu Baining smiled and said shyly, whatever my husband says, Tilda. Then it's settled. Next, Mu began to change her clothes. When he came from Shanghai, he was wearing relatively thick clothes. At the very least, you should have a thermal garment. Once we get to Sanya, we definitely won't need to wear thermal underwear anymore. Soon, he changed into a pair of beige cargo shorts and a black short-sleeved loose shirt. Of course, this shirt is not for work, but rather a casual outfit. I'm wearing a chain around my neck that I bought for 9.9 yuan on Pinduoduo, which makes it look more high-end. Of course, she wasn't wearing any rings or other jewelry on her fingers. It's not ugly, but it's not really suitable for me to wear. Mu Baining is usually very afraid of the cold, so Mu focused her attention on her. Ning Ning, why aren't you changing your clothes? I don't want to. Mu Baining shook her head, her face slightly flushed, a little shy. You're here, I'm shy. What's there to be ashamed of? His tone became more serious. I am your husband and you are my wife. We are husband and wife now, so why are you shy? I'm just a little bit shy. Seeing her expression, Mu didn't continue to pester him. Perhaps this girl really is like that. It's obvious she's never been in a relationship. Then I'll go find Xyroxy first. You can go find her after you change your clothes. Mu Baining then nodded. He didn't intend to linger there. After putting on his shoes, he left the room. Mu Xyroxy's room was right next to his. Knock, knock, knock. She knocked gently on the door, and after a moment, Mu Xyroxy's voice came from inside. Who is this? While staying at the hotel, Mu Xyroxy was quite careful about safety. She wouldn't open the door if she didn't know who was outside. Otherwise, she wouldn't have used a toilet plunger for self-defense last time. Mu it's me, your brother. Oh. Only after hearing that it was her brother did Mu lower her guard. She opened the door and chuckled. Brother, don't you think my clothes look amazing? Well, Mu Xyroxy had already changed into a JK uniform. A white short-sleeved shirt, a blue plaid skirt, white knee-high socks, and a pair of blue kidney-shaped shoes. She's a total soft girl. P.S. Please give me some flowers, I'm so grateful. Also, I've been writing about flower arranging lately. If you want to see the details, click on the table of contents and join the group. Chapter 173, Brother. Your status in the family isn't good. So beautiful. When he was in high school, he was actually quite interested in the soft and cute style of JK, junior high school girl, clothing. However, ever since I met Mu Baining, I suddenly felt that JK uniforms were a bit awkward. It's not that it's unattractive, it's just that cuteness is worthless in the face of sexiness. Of course, Mu Xyroxy doesn't care what kind of outfit she likes. As long as she's happy, having a cute little sister is not bad either. Hearing her brother's praise, Mu Xyroxy chuckled. She peeked out and noticing that Mu Baining hadn't come, asked, Brother, where's sister-in-law? Why didn't she come? She's changing clothes in her room. Mu shrugged, and Mu Xyroxy suddenly realized. I get it, your sister-in-law was changing clothes and then she kicked you out, right? Mu was taken aback. What this younger sister said doesn't seem to make any mistakes. Seeing Mu expression, Mu Xyroxy knew she had guessed correctly. Then she continued, Tusk, brother, this won't do. Is this how you're going to manage the household in the future? If Dad knew you were doing so badly, he would definitely beat you. Musayomo was silent for a moment, then said, Our dad. At home, he always listens to Mom. He's as obedient as a little lamb. That's true, Tilda. Musayoxi didn't think much of it. Nowadays, many men are afraid of their wives. She puffed out her chest. Then I'll also be in charge of the family's imperial throne from now on. Make Zyro Zaioi submit to me. Hearing Musayoxi's words, he rolled his eyes. All right, you don't even know if she'll like you. It's been half a year. What if a girl confessed to him or he has a girlfriend now? I don't want to hear it, I don't want to hear it. Musayoxi covered her ears immediately. I've been in contact with him recently. We've already made an appointment. He'll come to Tsinghua and Peking University to see me. It's impossible for him to be dating someone else in private. Tilda, Musayomo exclaimed in surprise. This girl really did have her eye on Zyro Zaioi. Then good luck. Musayomo bypassed Musayoxi and entered the room. At this moment, Musayoxi's suitcase was open, and her clothes were piled up on the bed. Most of their clothes were skirts. They didn't have a single pair of pants. Sis, look at your bed. You didn't even tidy it up. He rolled his eyes and noticed the black stockings on the bed. You're wearing black stockings. Holy crap, you. Oh dear, Musayoxi blushed instantly when Musayomo saw the black stockings on the bed. She said, You naughty brother, don't look like that. I've recently started working as a fashion blogger on Douyin, and I already have 200,000 followers. The black stockings are just props for my outdoor photo shoots. Hearing this, Musayomo gave her a thumbs up. Awesome, but hurry up and tidy up the clothes on the bed. If your sister-in-law sees them when she comes in, she'll have a hard time. Oh, Tilda, brother, you're helping me too. Musayoxi chuckled and moved closer to him. Musayomo was taken aback. I won't touch your clothes. You know there's a difference between men and women. It's okay, bro. We used to bathe together when we were kids. What's the big deal? No. In the end, Musayomo couldn't resist Musayoxi's insistence and helped her pack her clothes. Because Musayoxi has grown up, even though they are siblings, he didn't want to touch Musayoxi's clothes. Just as I finished packing my clothes, there was a sudden knock on the door. Musayoxi turned her gaze to the doorway. Brother, is sister-in-law here? You'll know once you open the door. Oh, Tilda. Musayoxi walked over slowly and hesitated for a moment when she passed the restroom. Seems to be considering whether or not to get a toilet plunger. Seeing her actions, Musayomo quickly said, It's your sister-in-law. You don't mean you want to use a plunger, do you? I didn't. Musayoxi pouted, then stepped forward and opened the door. Snap. At the same time, Musayoxi turned around in front of Mu Baining. Sister-in-law, look, don't I look great in my clothes today? Zyro Zai, you look so beautiful. Seeing Musayoxi dressed so innocently, Mu Baining couldn't help but say, If I were a boy, I would definitely pursue you. Hee, sister-in-law, you can marry me too, and you don't need my brother anymore. Musayomo rolled her eyes. Get lost, Zyroxi. Have you been reading too many BL novels lately? Oh, I was just kidding. Musayoxi took Mu Baining's hand directly. Sister-in-law, you look so beautiful today too. Today, Mu Baining is wearing a white dress. It's decorated with lots of pearls and white tulle, and its length falls below the knee, making it look truly ethereal. Mu Baining was especially happy to be praised by Musayoxi. She said, Really, Zyroxi, how about wearing the same outfit as your sister-in-law next time? That sounds good. Suddenly, Musayoxi remembered something and said, Sister-in-law, I have some JK uniforms here. Would you like to try them on? JK, high school girl, is out of the question. It's not suitable for a sister-in-law. Mu Baining's outfit wasn't suitable for a JK plaid skirt at the moment, so she shook her head and said, Momo, Zyro Zai, are you almost done getting ready? We can go out and play for a while now. Zyro Zai, are you hungry? What do you want to eat tonight? I'm fine with anything, sister-in-law. Seeing the two chatting so happily, Musayomo's face darkened. I shouldn't have brought Musayoxi out to play. He quickly stood up. Come on, let's stroll around the scenic area first and then, let's go eat seafood. The seafood here is quite cheap. That's possible. Soon, the three of them left the hotel. We strolled around the Luhuatu scenic area. During this season, many tourists from the north come here to travel. Most of them are students. They strolled leisurely through the scenic area, enjoying the evening breeze and chatting casually. Before long, the sun gradually set in the west, and soon became level with the sea level. But the number of tourists here hasn't decreased. The temperature at this time is the most comfortable. Mu Baining and Mu Zyroxi stood on either side of him, drawing envy from many people. It's worth noting that both Mu Xiaoxi and Mu Baining are exceptionally good-looking. Those who don't know him might think he's too timing someone his own age. Mu Xiaoxi sat on a rock and had Mu Baining take a lot of pictures of her so-called outfit inspiration. Just as Mu Xiaoxi was admiring her beautiful photos, her stomach suddenly started growling. Cuckoo! The sound was extremely loud, and Mu Baining and Mu Xiaomo heard it clearly. Both of them turned their attention to her. Mu Xiaoxi smiled awkwardly and said, "Oh dear, my dinner bell rang. Brother, sister-in-law, let's go eat. Let's go to the seafood restaurant where mom and dad proposed to each other." Chapter 174. Did Mu Baining subconsciously say he was no good? The seafood restaurant where your parents proposed. Upon hearing Mu Xiaoxi's words, Mu Xiaomo frowned. Actually, when he was little, he had seen the video of his parents proposing to each other. However, his father found out. Dad seemed a little shy and immediately unplugged the USB drive. He only watched the video for a minute. It's a bit of a pity. More than 20 years have passed, and it's uncertain whether that shop is still there. He remembered that shop. It was a seafood restaurant and quite large, with many wooden staircases connecting to form corridors. Yeah, bro, let's go look for it. After all, it's the place where my parents proposed, so it's actually quite memorable. All right. He nodded and turned his gaze to Mu Baining. Ning Ning, let's go take a look. Okay, Tilda. Mu Baining nodded. In fact, she was quite interested in this as well. Seeing that Mu Baining agreed, Mu Xiaomo nodded. Then it's settled. I'll check on my phone to see if there are any seafood restaurants nearby. As she spoke, Mu Xiaomo had already opened the shameless map. After a quick search, I found a nearby shop called DK Music Seafood. The map does show that there are indeed many wooden walkways there. Could it be this? Mu Xiaomo pointed at the phone screen and said, Xiaozai, if I'm not mistaken, this should be DK Music Seafood. Really? Mu Xiaoxi chuckled. Then, let's go ask the boss, maybe they still remember. Probably not. You'll know once you go and see for yourself. At this moment, Mu Xiaoxi suddenly walked between Mu Xiaomo and Mu Baining. She grabbed their arms with both hands. Come on, let's go eat seafood. Because their destination was very close, they arrived at DK Music Seafood Restaurant in less than 10 minutes. There aren't many tables outside the shop, and the distance between each chair is quite far. The seating arrangement is also quite irregular, with many wooden staircases and corridors, and each seat has a parasol above it, which doesn't make sense in a typical restaurant. The warm lights illuminated the small area, and Mu Xiaomo felt as if he had entered a fairy tale when he arrived here. This scene is particularly healing. This should be the place, right? Mu Xiaomo took a deep breath. The place had obviously been renovated, but the overall layout was very similar to what she had seen in the video before. There weren't many customers in the shop, and melodious tunes emanated from the surrounding loudspeakers. Just like its name suggests, it's a music restaurant. Welcome, are there 3 of you? Just as Mu Xiaomo was stunned and confused, a waiter wearing a red apron with very fair skin and who looked to be about the same age as them walked over. She was exceptionally beautiful, with incredibly clear eyes, and her ponytail gave her a very pure and innocent look. She was holding a menu in her hand and curiously observing the 3 of them. They must be one of the waiters here. Yes, there are 3 of them. Sister, you're so pretty. Upon seeing the beautiful woman, Mu Xiaoxi's eyes immediately lit up. The waitress smiled and looked Mu Xiaoxi up and down. You're very pretty too, little sister. There are 3 of you, right? This way, please. As she spoke, she led the 3 of them to a slightly quieter place. Then he handed the menu to Mu Xiaoxi. Mu Xiaoxi gave it to Mu Xiaomo, and Mu Xiaomo then gave it to Mu Baining. Ning Ning, you can order. Just order whatever you want. Tilda. Mu Baining nodded slightly and looked at the menu. At the same time, Mu Xiaoxi looked at the waitress expectantly and asked, Sister, how many years has this shop been open? It's been open for over 30 years. The waitress thought for a moment and then said, This shop was opened by my parents after they got married. I wasn't even born then, so it's been more than 30 years. Well, upon hearing this, Mu Xiaoxi turned her gaze to Mu Xiaomo. Brother, it's been over 30 years already. It seems that Mom and Dad proposed right here. Mu Xiaomo nodded. Perhaps, but so much time has passed, you don't need to ask any more, little sister. Just ask. Mu Xiaoxi was extremely curious about this matter. She asked, Sister, are there a lot of people proposing here? Of course. She nodded. There are dozens of marriage proposals here every year. I've seen quite a few. Wait, did your parents propose here? The young woman asked, and Mu Xyroxy nodded. Yes, it seems so, but it's been more than 20 years. What a coincidence. The young woman suddenly spoke up. My parents take photos of every couple who proposes in a hotel as a keepsake. I don't know if they did this more than 20 years ago, but I can ask my mother for you. Please wait a moment. I'll call my mother over right away. After saying that, she quickly left. Mu Xyroxy looked at Mu Xyomo. Brother, do you think they might have photos of mom and dad? Mu Xyomo shook her head. After all, more than 20 years have passed, so it shouldn't be right. Mu Xyomo didn't dwell on the issue. Instead, she and Mu Baining studied the recipe together. There was an abundance of seafood, including abalone, oysters, and king crab, and the prices weren't too expensive, which dazzled him. Mu Xyroxy, however, showed absolutely no interest in food at that moment. She focused all her energy on the photos of her parents' marriage proposal. Mu Baining, Momo eat more abalone. Mu Baining suddenly spoke, and Mu Xyomo was taken aback. Eat more abalone. If he remembers correctly, abalone is a very nutritious food. Why did Mu Baining suddenly say this? Could it be that she subconsciously meant he was no good? Thinking of this, Mu Xyomo's face immediately darkened. Good grief, this Ningning actually said he's no good. Tonight I'll show you what. Just then, the young lady walked over with her mother. Hello, you three Tilda. This is a woman who looks to be in her 40s or 50s. She has some slight wrinkles on her face, but she takes good care of herself. After arriving, she turned her gaze to Mu Xyoxy. Hee, my daughter told me that your parents proposed here. I do have a habit of collecting photos of proposals. I don't know if you know the time limit for proposals, but I'll see if I can find some. Upon hearing this, Mu Xyroxy turned her gaze to Mu Xyomo. Mu Xyomo frowned. Okay, it seems to be January 2nd, 2019. Chapter 175, Parents' Youth and Love. He remembered the date very clearly. The video had a watermark at the time, and as far as I remember, the date was January 2, 2019. After hearing Mu Xyomo's words, the aunt thought about it carefully. After all, more than 20 years have passed, and she may not even remember. January 2nd, she muttered. I already had the habit of saving photos back then. I've put all the photos in one album by date. How about this? I'll go find it, you guys order your food first. After the aunt finished speaking, she turned her attention to her daughter. Zymung, take good care of this table of guests. I'll go and see if I can find those photos. The girl called Zymung nodded and said softly, Okay, Mom, you go ahead. I'll take care of things here. Nodding, Zymung's mother quickly left. Mu Baining hadn't looked at the menu when she spoke, and they hadn't ordered yet. Mu Xyomo turned her head and asked, Ningning, how is it? Have you decided what to eat? That's right, Mu Baining had already lost focus at this moment. She never expected that a small seafood restaurant would keep photos of Zio, Mo, and Zai's parents' marriage proposal when they were young. She wondered what would happen if Mu Xyomo proposed to her here, and their future children, like them now, returned to this place and saw such a romantic scene from back then. Thinking of this, Mu Baining's face immediately turned a little red. Why was she so eager for Mu Xyomo to propose to her? Let me see what we want to eat. After putting this matter aside, Mu Xyoxy realized that she was very, very hungry. She glanced at the menu and then said, Brother, I want to eat abalone, sea urchin, oysters, grouper, and king crab. Looking at the menu, this girl was practically drooling. Can? Mu Xyomo nodded, then turned her gaze to Mu Baining. Ningning, what about you? Just like my sister, she wasn't a picky eater. In fact, as long as she could be with Mu Xyomo, she didn't care what she ate, Omega. Okay. Mu Xyomo turned her attention to the young lady named Zymung. Then I'll have 6 abalones, 18 grilled oysters, a sea urchin, a grouper, and a king crab. Okay. Miss Zymung nodded. We have Dayao, cola, lay-by, Laotian beer, and Tsingtao beer. What would you like to drink? AD calcium milk bar tilde. Mu Xyomo spoke first. Mu Xyroxy. When they were little, Mu Xyomo would often use AD calcium milk to mock Mu Xyroxy when they had minor disagreements. Hearing this, Mu Xyoxy rolled her eyes at him. I don't want to drink AD calcium milk. Drink whatever you like. Mu Xyomo turned her gaze to Mu Baining. Ningning, should we drink Laotian beer or Tsingtao beer? Upon hearing Mu Xyomo's words, Mu Baining suddenly raised her head. She paused for a moment, then said, Would you like a drink? Don't drink too much. 1 bottle is enough. 1 bottle of wine won't get you drunk at all. You could say you won't feel anything at all. Besides, Mu Baining got him drunk, and took him to a cheap hotel back then. Hearing Mu Omo's words, Mu Baining thought about it carefully. After all, I'm going to sleep with Momo tonight, so a bottle of wine shouldn't be a problem, right? She trusted Mu Omo and nodded. Then let's each drink one bottle. Mu Omo raised her head slightly and looked at Miss Ziming. Give me 2 more bottles of Laotian beer, and just give my sister a bottle of AD calcium milk. Okay, please wait a moment, all 3 of you. Soon the young lady left. Mu pouted. Brother, She snorted. You mean me? What did I say to you? Mu Omo looked at the sulking Mu Didn't you especially like drinking AD calcium milk when you were little? Mu was speechless after hearing what he said. I really enjoyed drinking AD calcium milk when I was a child. But ever since her brother mocked her with the AD calcium milk meme, she has rarely drunk it. Never mind. Mu shrugged, deciding not to dwell on the matter. She muttered to herself, who said you could drink from A to D? I'm so annoyed. Miss Ziming brought them a water bottle and poured them water. About 10 minutes later, Ziming's mother, who was just now, came over with what looked like several photos in her hand. Her face was full of smiles, and before she even got close, she couldn't help but say, Hey, you 3, haha, you really found the photo. Upon hearing this, Mu shuddered. He turned his head sharply and stared longingly at the ant. Are they my parents? The ant compared the photos, then compared them to Mu Omo and nodded, saying, I think you 2 are siblings. I have to say, you really look alike in your parents' photos. As she spoke, she handed the photo to Mu The brother and sister had seen photos of their parents when they were young. After Mu received the photo, Mu Omo and Mu Baining also gathered around. Upon seeing the people in the photo, Mu covered her mouth. My God, brother, it really is our parents. Mu Omo also focused her attention on the photo. The people in the photo really are his parents. There were many people in the scene. At that time, the father was kneeling on one knee, holding a ring box, proposing to his mother. Moreover, the grandparents were also seen beside the 2 of them. Mu Baining blinked and asked, These are your parents? He nodded. So, do I look like I inherited my dad's handsome genes? Mu Baining rolled her eyes. How could Mu Omo be so narcissistic? However, upon closer inspection, she realized that Mu Omo's father was indeed very handsome. The 3 continued to examine the photos. The ant had taken some particularly wonderful moments. For example, the moment when Dad puts a ring on Mom's finger. There were also 2 people embracing tightly, the way they looked while hugging. It was so heartwarming. My dad was surprisingly romantic back then. At this moment, the ant next to her spoke up. If I remember correctly, your father sang a song for your mother back then. Love you 10,000 years. The ant's thoughts instantly drifted back to more than 20 years ago, when she had just gotten married. Thank you, Auntie Tilda. Mu was especially happy. Being able to witness her parents' past love story while traveling was a kind of enjoyment. This is what parents' youth is like. It's especially enviable. Chapter 176, A small box fell out. You're welcome, it's nothing. The ant said with a smile. I have witnessed your parents' love and met their children. I am really fortunate. Perhaps this is fate. By the way, you can keep the photos as a memento. Mu didn't intend to accept the photos. She took out her pear-shaped phone, placed the photos on the table, took pictures of them one by one, and finally returned them to the ant. Auntie, I'm really happy that you kept my parents' photos. But since they're your collection and have sentimental value for you, we don't need them. Seeing that Mu didn't intend to accept it, the ant didn't insist. She laughed and said, Haha, okay, I'll take the photos back. I hope you enjoy your meal and have a good time. Thank you, Tilda. Just then, the dishes they ordered were served. When the grilled oysters, abalone soup, prawns, and other dishes were served, Mu immediately became excited. Hee bro, I'm going to dig in. He picked up his chopsticks and couldn't resist picking at them. First, peel off the shell of the lobster to reveal the tender meat. A delicious aroma wafted over, and Mu unceremoniously began her meal. Of course, this was in public, and she still ate with some elegance. If I were at home, I'd probably pick up the lobster and start eating it. The grilled oysters were a bit far from Mu Baining, so he picked them up with his chopsticks and placed them on her plate. Ning, don't just watch Xyroxy eat, you should eat too. Mu Baining nodded slightly. She looked up at the sky, which was dotted with stars, many of which were twinkling incessantly. Noticing Mu Baining's gaze, Mu Omo and Mu Xyroxy both looked up. Mu Xyroxy couldn't help but say, Brother, I haven't seen such a beautiful sky in a very, very long time. I never knew there could be so many stars in the sky. This is the only place we can see them. Muxioxy, never mind all that, let's eat. Wow, Tilda, this abalone is so delicious. Brother, you should try some too, Dad said. This stuff is really nutritious. Upon hearing Muxioxy's words, Muxiomo's face darkened. When did Dad ever say this in front of Muxioxy? About an hour later, the three of them had almost finished eating. Muxiomo and Mu Baining each drank a bottle of beer. It was just one bottle of beer. They wouldn't get drunk at all. Muxioxy was drinking a large bottle of AD calcium milk. Just a moment ago, Muxioxy was complaining that she wouldn't drink AD calcium milk, but now she was drinking it with great enthusiasm. Brother, I'm full. Aren't you going to pay the bill? Muxioxy leaned back in her chair and chuckled. She's a bit tired from the flight today, and since she got up a little early this morning, she's feeling sleepy now. Muxiomo rolled her eyes. I bought the plane tickets, and you didn't spend a single penny during our 7 or 8 days in Shanghai. Aren't you going to treat us to dinner tonight? I have no money. Muxioxy rolled her eyes. Running a cat cafe on campus, delivering food with drones, and co-owning a Western restaurant with her sister-in-law, her brother must be very rich. What a coincidence, I don't have any money either. Muxiomo shrugged, clearly hoping Muxioxy would pay for the meal. Seeing Muxiomo and Muxioxy arguing back and forth, Mu Baining chuckled. All right, Momo, I'll go pay the bill. I'm a bit tired today, let's go home after we pay. No. Upon hearing that Mu Baining was going to pay, Muxiomo quickly stood up. Mu Baining completely ignored him and walked straight toward the shop. After Mu Baining walked away, Muxioxy revealed a mischievous smile. Brother, are you living off a woman? You're not going to become a live-in son-in-law, are you? What nonsense are you spouting, you little brat? Smack. Muxiomo gently tapped her head. Muxioxy pretended to be upset and said, Ouch, brother, you hit me hard. Is it 500 yuan less? This matter can't be resolved. Get lost. At this point, Muxioxy was completely out of control. Only a beating will make them behave. She didn't keep making jokes. After Mu Baining paid the bill, the three of them returned to the hotel. Brother, I'm heading back now. Bye-bye, see you tomorrow. After saying goodbye to Muxiomo, Muxioxy slunk into her room and slammed the door shut. Seeing this, Muxiomo turned her gaze to Mu Baining. Ning, let's go back too. Mu Baining nodded slightly. By the way, have you planned where we're going to play tomorrow? Leave it to me. He patted his chest, saying that girls these days like men who have their own opinions. In fact, apart from today, he has already made plans for his travels in the coming period. That's fine then. Upon entering the room, Muxiomo immediately locked the door from the inside. Mu Baining didn't say much after seeing it. There is a curtain at the large French door, and outside the curtain is an open-air balcony with a sea view. The room has a wine cabinet with a variety of wines, but of course, these drinks are all chargeable. The hotel is quite expensive, but the wine is of good quality. Upon seeing the wine, Muxiomo's first thought was to have some. That's right, just a drink. Now that Muxioxy is finally no longer around, it's definitely much quieter without that girl. Red wine can help with sleep, and drinking a little won't do any harm. Ning want to have a drink together. It was still early, and although he was a little sleepy, he still wanted to spend time with Ning later. This is where red wine comes in handy. Mu Baining looked at him curiously, then paused. You mean have some wine? Right. No. Mu Baining did not agree. Her face was slightly red. I haven't been able to hold my liquor well lately. I just drank a bottle of beer and I'm already a little tipsy. So, he sighed then, let's wash up and get ready for bed. By the way, Ning, I'll show you a game later, Canada. Kanja Enus, Omega Canada, Kanja Enus. Upon hearing Muxiomo's words, Mu Baining was taken aback. Games? What games? You'll find out soon enough. She didn't think much of it because she was just too tired today. She wasn't used to using the hotel's toothpaste, and after rummaging through her suitcase, Mu Baining was taken aback. Oh no, Momo, I brought my toothbrush, but I forgot my toothpaste. Muxiomo was taken aback for a moment, then said, Your dad just put a tube of toothpaste in my suitcase when I came. You can just open it and take it. Okay, Tilda. Mu Baining opened his suitcase without hesitation. The first thing I noticed was the pink toothpaste box. When I opened it, a small box slid out from inside. It fell to the ground. P.S. If nothing unexpected happens tomorrow. Chapter 177, The father wanted to hold the child and did this, revised. What is that? Mu Baining was slightly taken aback when she saw the small box fall out. Then she turned her gaze to the ground, and Mu Omo, who was standing nearby, also turned her gaze to the ground upon hearing the sound. Upon seeing what was on the ground, Mu Omo was completely stunned. The thing on the ground, is it? A TT. In fact, Mu Omo had prepared this in advance. Although the packaging and brands are different, you can still tell what something is just by looking at the item on the ground. An awkward silence fell over the air. Mu Omo looked up abruptly. Wasn't this the toothpaste Mu Changle had given him? How could this thing be inside? Could it be that Mu Baining was lusting after her body, but was too embarrassed to say so, which is why he put it in? Little did they know, Mu Baining was thinking the same thing at that moment. Could it be that Mu Omo secretly put it in there? Is this an implication for her? When Mu Baining thought of this, her first thought was not disgust. Instead, I was thinking, this silly Momo is so dramatic. They've known each other for so long, what's there to hide? Because she had become completely used to having him around, she wasn't too opposed to what Mu Omo wanted to do. Because Mu Omo didn't know her true thoughts, he was still a little flustered. Ning Ning, have you bought everything? Mu Baining was stunned. What is this? Didn't you put this in? Mu Omo was taken aback. It wasn't me. This box didn't even pass through my hands during the day. Your dad put it in my suitcase. Huh? The two stared at each other, and Mu Baining's heart was filled with turmoil. Could it be that Dad stuffed it in there? Depend on. Does Dad want a child already? Mu Baining looked a little shy. I'm sorry, maybe my dad wanted to hold the baby. Fine. Mu Omo shook her head. I understand Dad's thinking. Actually, I also. Just as Mu Omo was about to continue speaking, Mu Baining shook her head. She knew what Mu Omo wanted to say. The two of them had known each other for so long, and it was indeed time to do something. But she still felt a little embarrassed when she saw what was on the ground. Mu Baining quickly picked up the things on the ground. She knew what she and Momo were going to do tonight, but she was still embarrassed and shy. So she said softly, Momo, why don't we have some more drinks? I'd like to have a good chat with you. Mu Omo was stunned when she heard this. Why don't you have a good chat with him? How about some red wine? There's definitely no problem. Sure. Nodding, they tidied up their things a bit and then sat down in the chairs. Mu Omo took out 2 wine glasses, a bottle of red wine, a corkscrew, and a decanter. Then Mu Omo took the initiative to pull out a stool for Mu Baining. He brushed off the dust a little and then let Mu Baining sit on it. Ning Ning, please sit down. Mu Baining nodded slightly and then sat down. Mu Omo quickly opened the wine bottle. Then I poured the red wine into the decanter. Red wine needs to breathe for 10 to 20 minutes. During this time, Mu Baining put her elbows on the table, rested her chin on her hand, and gazed deeply at Mu Omo. Seeing this, Mu Omo took a deep breath and then continued. Ning Ning, is there money on my face? You're looking so deeply into it. No, she shook her head, then replied with a smile. It's just that I thought of the place where your parents confessed their love today, and I was really envious. Besides, you and your dad really look alike. Hee, of course. Mu Omo nodded. After all, most of a child's genes come from their father. My dad has such good genes, how could I not be good-looking? Hearing Mu Omo's words, Mu Baining rolled her eyes. Here we go again. Mu Omo is still as narcissistic as ever. Then he continued, so our children will definitely inherit my genes. If it's a boy, he'll be a handsome young man, and if it's a girl, she'll definitely be a little beauty. Seeing Mu Omo's mischievous smile, Mu Baining rolled her eyes at him. She felt that it would be a long, long time before she could have a child. In any case, it's not advisable to have it for the next 2 years. Don't be so narcissistic. If you're going to follow someone's example, it'll be like me. Yes. Mu Omo chose to give up. The child will definitely look a lot like both of them. The two of them didn't dwell on who the child resembled, mainly because having a child was still a long way off. What are you talking about? Mu Baining chuckled, then said, by the way, does Momo have any plans for the future? Mu Baining was testing Mu Omo's ideas for the future. After hearing Mu Baining's words, Mu Omo thought about it carefully. Ning Ning, look, I'll be a university professor after school starts. Mu Baining nodded. Then Mu Omo continued, you also have a Welsh restaurant if possible. I can just live off your money. After hearing Mu Omo's words, Mu Baining rolled her eyes at him. Living off a woman, Mu Ziomo explained. After all, our Welsh restaurant has a particularly high income. Is it okay to be a kept man? Mu Baining was speechless. What is Mu Ziomo thinking? Seeing that Mu Baining's expression was a bit off, he quickly said, Haha, just kidding. Actually, I've already planned for the future. I plan to continue researching drone technology, and then directly acquire the industry giant, EMA. That's right, we'll use drone delivery to monopolize the entire food delivery industry, and then gradually expand overseas once the technology matures. After hearing this, Mu Baining nodded heavily. Mu Ziomo's idea was actually not bad. You could say he is ambitious and idealistic. Then Mu Ziomo continued, Ning Ning, for now, you just need to focus on being a good counselor and also manage the Western restaurant well. Mu Baining hummed in agreement and nodded slightly. Mu Ziomo added, By the way, I'll be leasing an industrial park in Shanghai and starting a company of our own. Upon hearing this news, Mu Baining was somewhat surprised and asked, Rentals in Shanghai's industrial parks aren't cheap, so you should think it through. Don't worry. Mu Ziomo was secretly delighted. The main thing is that the system also gave him a 2,000 yuan startup fund, a 1,000 square meter industrial park and office building last time. Rent, it doesn't exist at all. After the new year, we can just start the company. Hey. Chapter 178 Momo, I Like You So Much, revised. Just then, the red wine had almost fully aerated. Mu Ziomo took out 2 wine glasses and poured some into Mu Baining's glass. All right, Ning Ning, you can drink now. Let's have a little bit and then play games together. Canada Conjainus Omega Canada Conjainus, Mu Ziomo said with a mischievous smile. Upon hearing the word game, Mu Baining frowned. Is this game serious? Mu Baining knew what Mu Ziomo was planning, and with a sigh, she didn't think much of it. Anyway, the two of them have known each other for so long. They're a couple now, and Mu Ziomo is young and impetuous. It should be, About half an hour later, the two of them had finished a bottle of red wine. Because they had drunk quite a bit of alcohol at dinner, both of them were feeling dizzy at this point. Red wine is more likely to make you drunk than white wine, and Mu Ziomo felt her head was particularly heavy. Even lying in bed, I feel like I can fall asleep. Needless to say, Mu Baining was already drunk, as girls generally don't have a high alcohol tolerance. Seeing Mu Baining's drunken state, Mu Ziomo asked softly, Ning Ning, are you all right? How are you feeling? Mu Baining felt dizzy and lightheaded, and even saw double when looking at Mu Ziomo. She tried to stand up, but before she could even steady herself, her body tilted, and she ended up falling into Mu Ziomo's arms. Mu Ziomo quickly hugged her. Their chests pressed tightly together, and Mu Ziomo shuddered. Judging from Mu Baining's appearance, it seems that her alcohol tolerance has been declining lately. It wasn't like this when I brought him to the small hotel on the first day of school. Just then, the system's voice sounded. Please don't worry about these details, host. Perhaps she's creating an opportunity for you. Some sign. Letter FF9F de letter FF9F, Japanese letter. Mu Ziomo was taken aback when she heard the system's voice. Goodness, could it be that Mu Baining was faking it? System, please remove, is it possible? Hearing this, Mu Ziomo took a deep breath. Ning Ning is definitely giving him a chance. Holy crap, that's awesome. So Mu Ziomo simply wrapped his arms around her slender waist. At the same time, emboldened by the alcohol, she kissed Mu Baining directly on the lips. Mu Baining made a series of muffled sounds after being kissed by Mu Ziomo. Both of them had a strong smell of alcohol on their breath. At this moment, his body slowly moved forward. Soon Mu Baining's calf touched the bed. Her knees bent involuntarily, and her body seemed to lose its balance as Mu Ziomo fell directly onto her. Mu Baining also hugged him in a very cooperative manner. She even placed her hand on his abdominal muscles. She still loves abs as much as ever. Are all girls like this? After kissing, Mu Ziomo suddenly raised her head. They discovered that Mu Baining had her eyes open at that moment. Noticing Mu Ziomo's gaze, Mu Baining immediately closed her eyes. Through this scene, Mu Ziomo was certain that she had indeed done it on purpose. Ning Ning, do you want to take a bath? Mu Ziomo whispered something in her ear, and Mu Baining, drunk, replied, Yeah, sure, Tilda, I want you to come with me. As she spoke, Mu Baining kissed Mu Ziomo on the lips again. Seeing this, Mu Ziomo was somewhat surprised. Ning Ning has completely let loose. Okay, your dear husband will be with. Mu Ziomo slowly released her grip and helped Mu Baining up. She was so drunk she could barely stand. Sitting on the bed, Omo began preparing things for her bath later. There was a large double bathtub in the bathroom, so he planned to take a bath in it. Ning, I'll fill the bathtub with water first, wait for me. He quickly entered the bathroom, adjusted the water temperature, and started running the water. After a while, he took Baining inside. Soon, the sound of two people showering could be heard from the bathroom. About 40 minutes later, Omo and Baining came out wearing bathrobes together. Baining was still dizzy at this moment. However, it's much better than before. Hey, Ning, can we play games now? Omo placed his hand on her smooth skin and said. When Omo touched her, her body couldn't help but tremble. Even their breathing became rapid. Seeing Omo's expectant look, Baining nodded. Okay. Upon hearing Baining's voice, Omo felt a jolt run through her body. I'll go get ready then. Tonight's game is about to begin. Soon in the room, Omo and Baining started playing games. A full hour passed. The game between Omo and Baining has officially ended. It would be a lie to say I wasn't tired after more than an hour. At this moment, both he and Baining were covered in sweat. At this moment, Baining leaned against the headboard, her face slightly flushed and her breathing rapid. Omo leaned close to her and asked, "How are you feeling, Ning?" Baining hummed in agreement. It's all right, just a little sore in my back and waist." Upon hearing this, Omo quickly said, "You're probably too tired today. Do you want me to give you a massage? It's only 98, not 998. HMPH, Baining rolled her eyes. 98 big-headed ghosts. I'm tired, I'm going to sleep, wait. I need to take a shower." As she spoke, Baining prepared to get out of bed and put on her slippers. Looking at his back, Baining had just been pretending to be drunk. Now he's acting like nothing happened. Ning, wait for me, I'll go with you. Omo quickly said, and then hurriedly put on her slippers. Hearing his voice, Baining did not turn her head. Hurry up. Soon, the sound of two people showering could be heard from the bathroom. A dozen minutes later, the two of them came out together, wrapped in bathrobes. After lying down on the bed, Omo focused her gaze on her. Then she said softly, "All right, Ning, it's getting late, we should go to sleep." She nodded shyly. "Tonight, I'll let you hold me while we sleep." "Sure." Omo took the initiative to get close to Baining and pulled her into his arms. At this moment, Omo noticed that Baining was staring straight at the ceiling. He looked up and through the glass ceiling discovered there were many stars in the sky. The stars twinkled, it was especially beautiful. Just then, Baining suddenly spoke up. "Momo, I like you so much, Tilda." Chapter 179, Taking Ning Home. "I like you too." Omo kissed Baining's forehead. Then I tucked her in. "All right, sweet Ning, go to sleep. We'll play games again later, Tilda." Tilda." She murmured an nestled obediently in Omo's arms, and closed her eyes. Before long, the sound of two people breathing evenly could be heard in the room. Zzz. The next morning, Omo got up very early. Baining was still fast asleep at this moment. Perhaps because she was too tired last night, she was sleeping very soundly. I checked the time, it was 7:10. If you arrive at the hotel at 7:00, it's time for the hotel to prepare your meal. You'll need to pick it up at the bar. He didn't wake Baining. He could just bring her breakfast later. After changing his clothes and quickly washing up, he left the room and went to the door of Xerox's room next door, where he gently knocked. Knock, knock, knock. Knock, knock, knock. After knocking on the door 6 times, Xerox's voice came from inside. "Here comes, bro." Xerox's voice came from afar, indicating she was walking this way. He frowned. Was the soundproofing of the hotel door really that bad? So last night was. Shaking her head, Omo felt she was overthinking things. Just then, Xerox's voice came from inside again. "Who's that outside?" "Is it my brother?" "Who else could it be but me?" After confirming it was Omo, Xeroxy opened the door with a click. At the same time, Xeroxy, with dark circles under her eyes, came into his view. Upon seeing this, Omo was slightly taken aback. Holy crap, what's going on? Xeroxy's panda eyes are just ridiculous. He couldn't help but ask, "Sis, didn't you sleep well last night?" Xeroxy yawned, then said, "Yeah, I fell asleep as soon as I got back last night, but..." There was a constant noise from the bed next door hitting the wall. "It's driving me crazy." Omo was speechless. However, Xeroxy didn't think that way. She said in a daze, "Brother, I haven't brushed my teeth or washed my face yet. Why don't you come in and wait for a while?" "Oh, right, we need to go get breakfast, right?" Mu Omo nodded. "You go wash up first, I'll go downstairs to get breakfast and bring it to you later." "Okay, sure, Tilda." She nodded, then happily ran inside. Mu Xyroxy didn't close the door. She left it open for him. There shouldn't be any bad people in the hotel. So Mu Omo left and went downstairs to get breakfast for the three of them. The breakfast here is quite substantial, with fried eggs, kelp, seaweed, a small crayfish, and a small bowl of bird's nest porridge. The amount is small, not enough to fill you up, but eating a lot in the morning is also not good. Just eat a simple meal. After delivering breakfast to Mu Xyroxy, he took the room key and went back to his room. Mu Baining woke up at that moment. She stretched her arms, yawned, and yawned. "Ah, Tilda." After sitting up, Mu Baining was taken aback when she saw Mu Omo. You're already up." Her tone was full of doubt as she looked at the food in his hand and rubbed her stomach. "Gurgle, Tilda." A rumbling sound came from my stomach. Mu Omo heard the sound, placed the breakfast on the table, and nodded. "Yeah, I saw you were sleeping so soundly, so I didn't wake you up. Now that you're awake, hurry up and get dressed, then get up and have breakfast. We're going out to play later." Mu Baining nodded slightly, and after getting out of bed, her expression changed. "Hissed Tilda." Although the sound wasn't very loud, Mu Omo still heard it. He looked at her, frowning slightly. "What's wrong?" Mu Baining blushed. "It's all your fault. You didn't give in to me last night. It hurts a little." Hearing this, Mu Omo looked apologetic. "I'm sorry, Ning Ning, it was my fault. Can you walk? Let me help you." How annoying. Although Mu Baining said she hated it, she still rested her cheek on his shoulder and slowly walked towards the bathroom. The three of them then spent more than 10 days in Sanya. They visited many scenic spots and attractions, and Mu Xyroxy and Mu Baining were very happy. Before we knew it, it was January 31st. There are only 10 days left until the new year. The new year of 2043. 7 o'clock in the morning. In the hotel, Mu Omo, Mu Baining, and Mu Xyroxy were packing their luggage together. All three of them had smiles on their faces. Mu Xyroxy chuckled and said, "Brother, we're going home soon. It's been almost half a year since I saw our parents, grandparents, and maternal grandparents. I miss them so much." "I wanted to." Mu Omo spoke calmly, then turned his gaze to Mu Baining. "Ning Ning, when we get back to Jiangbei and meet your in-laws, will you be nervous?" Mu Baining thought about meeting Mu Omo's parents tonight, and it would be a lie to say she wasn't nervous. The main problem is that he doesn't know what kind of people they are. Although I was mentally prepared, I was still a little nervous. "I'm not nervous." She shook her head, and at the same time Mu Xyroxy said, "Sister-in-law, my parents are so nice. I've already sent my dad the photos of us having fun recently, and he can't wait to see you." "Yeah." Mu Baining nodded and turned to Mu Omo. "Honey, what gifts do you think I should buy for my parents-in-law?" Mu Omo thought about it carefully. To be honest, it seemed that her parents didn't lack anything. Although my family isn't very wealthy, my dad runs more than a dozen companies. My mom is the same. She seems to have studied fashion design in college, and by this time she already had a luxury clothing company listed overseas. Mu Omo said, "As for gifts, just buy whatever you think is appropriate. My grandpa and dad both like to drink, so buying some alcohol is fine." "Okay, Tilda." Mu Baining nodded slightly. "Buying wine? Let's buy Mao." A few days ago, Mu Baining also bought a bag at the duty-free shop here. It's intended as a gift for Mu Omo's mother. A bag costs tens of thousands of yuan. His mother must really like it. Thinking of this, a faint smile appeared on Mu Baining's lips. To be honest, she was also really looking forward to meeting Zio Mo's parents. Soon, the three of them had packed their luggage. It was still winter in Jiangbei, so Mu Xyroxy wore her thickened fleece-lined tights again today. "I've also prepared a thick cotton-padded coat, so I won't get cold after getting off the plane. Are you all packed? Let's go to the airport." Chapter 180. Mom and Dad, look who's here. Before 8 o'clock, Mu Omo, Mu Baining, and Mu Xyroxy checked out of the hotel and got into an Alphard commercial vehicle. The hotel isn't far from Phoenix Airport, but with Chinese New Year approaching, many people are going home for the holidays, so flight seats are quite limited. Fortunately, they bought tickets in advance, so they won't be unable to get home. There was some traffic on the way, and it was already 9 o'clock when we arrived at Phoenix Airport. The plane had 1 hour left before takeoff, so they quickly picked up their tickets. They also needed to take a shuttle bus later, so time was tight. Of course, they won't be late. If they are late and have to reschedule, they'll probably have to spend the new year in Sanya. At 10:10, the plane took off from Sanya Phoenix Airport on time. Mu Xerox's seat was right by the window on the wing. Although she often flew when she was a child, this was the first time she had ever been in this seat. After turning on airplane mode on her phone, Mu Xerox started taking all sorts of random photos. Mu Baining, on the other hand, tilted her head slightly and rested it on Mu Xiomo's shoulder. He turned his head slightly and could clearly see Mu Baining's long eyelashes. The plane was relatively quiet, and Mu Xiomo didn't speak very loudly. Ning Ning, you've already talked to your parents, right? You're not going back. MMM. Mu Baining hummed softly and nodded slightly, saying, I already told you, Dad said he wanted me to convey his regards to my father-in-law. Yes, just tell your parents. Mu Baining continued, after we get off the plane, let's go buy some things together. Oh, and tell your parents not to cook. We'll cook when we get back. This goes without saying, it's my sister in. At this moment, Mu Xeroxy turned her head and said with a smile, my dad is a master chef. I reckon the dishes will be ready when we get home. Right. Mu Xiomo nodded. It's the first time Mom and Dad are meeting you, so they'll definitely prepare well. We can prepare more when we have the New Year's Eve dinner. Okay. Then she didn't continue speaking, because the flight would take almost 4 hours, so she closed her eyes and soon fell asleep. I woke up again at 2 o'clock. The plane had already reached the airspace above Jiangbei Xinhai. Mu Baining opened her eyes, yawned, and then said, Momo, where are we now? Mu Xiomo glanced at her watch. We've arrived in Jiangbei. The plane should land in about 10 minutes. Sister-in-law, look. Seeing that Mu Baining had woken up, Mu Xeroxy seemed quite excited. She pointed out the airplane window and said, it's snowing in Jiangbei right now. Brother, there must be a lot of kids building snowmen in our neighborhood today. My junior, you should be on holiday too, right? Hee, can I go visit him? Seeing Mu Xeroxy's silly grin, Mu Xiomo rolled her eyes. This girl, all she thinks about is eating and playing. Oh, and there's also her childhood sweetheart, Xiao Xiaoi. Zhenhua No 1 High School is definitely on holiday, but they have the college entrance exam next year. If you bother them, you'll just be interfering with their studies. Pa, I'm tutoring him. Mu Xeroxy said smugly. Don't forget, I'm the only top student from Zhenhua No 1 High School to get into Tsinghua and Peking universities. Go find Xiao's little brother. Her mother will definitely give him a warm welcome. Mu Xiomo was speechless after Mu Xeroxy said that. Last year, only 5 or 6 students from the entire Xinhai region were admitted to Tsinghua and Peking universities. Mu Xeroxy's grades are among the top 30 in the entire Jiangbei area. It has to be said, this result is truly impressive. Just as the three were chatting, the plane landed at Xinhai International Airport. After the plane came to a stop, Mu Xiomo, Mu Xeroxy, and Mu Baining put on thick cotton-padded coats. Today, the temperature in Jiangbei is particularly low, reaching a full -12 degrees Celsius. Go outside and you'll be frozen solid like an ice pop. After getting their suitcases, they hurried toward the exit. At this moment, Mu Xeroxy was shivering from the cold wind. My God, I'm definitely going to buy a house in Hainan someday. When winter comes, we'll bring your parents and sister-in-law over. Mu Xiomo completely ignored Mu Xeroxy's words. This girl used to brag all the time when she was little, but she never kept her promises. She also frequently tricked him. That's right, it's Huaxi, a good sister. Mu Xiomo chimed in. Okay, I'll be waiting for that day in my next life. Mu Xeroxy. The next life. What's the meaning? Does this mean they don't trust her? Snort. Mu Xeroxy pouted, looking both cute and fierce. Mu Xiomo ignored her and said to Mu Baining, I've already booked the car. Let's go to the mall here to buy some things later, Ning Ning. We've left all our winter clothes at your place. Let's go buy some down jackets. Yes, that's fine. Mu Xiomo, buy matching couple sets. Looking at Mu Xiomo's grinning face, Mu Baining couldn't help but smile. How come he is sometimes so mature and sometimes so childish? It's really baffling. Without dwelling on the issue, they got into a car after leaving the airport. At this moment, Mu Xeroxy immediately switched to her talkative mode. He introduced the scenic spots to Mu Baining, telling her what fun places there were to visit. Mu Baining responded with and yeah, realizing that he simply couldn't respond to some of her comments. So the three of them went to the mall together and bought some clothes. Mu Baining thoughtfully bought his parents a down jacket and thermal underwear. Of course, she could never forget the most important thing, the wine. They didn't arrive at the entrance of the residential area until 5:30 p.m. Mu Baining looked up at the words Wanju Yijing and frowned. She asked, "Is this the neighborhood?" Mu Xiaomo nodded. This residential community has a history of nearly 30 years. It was a resettlement house provided when the village was demolished. Although my father is successful and has bought some houses in the nearby housing development, but he will still live here. My grandparents like living here, and when I was in high school, the school was close by, making it very convenient to go to and from school. So he has been living here ever since. Come on, sister-in-law, let me show you around my house. You have to cuddle with me tonight, okay? Mu Xiaoxi was particularly excited and quickly led Mu Baining to Building 2 of the community. Upon entering the elevator, Mu Xiaoxi pressed the button for the 15th floor. At the same time, Mu Baining was already getting a little nervous. I'm about to meet Mu Xiaomo's parents, and my heart is pounding faster and faster. Ding, we've reached the 15th floor. The elevator doors slowly opened. Meanwhile, the three people, pulling their suitcases, left the elevator. Mu Xiaomo stepped forward, scanned her fingerprint, and opened the door. He said, "Mom and Dad, look who's here." P.S. Details have been written and are in the skirt. Please give me some flowers. Xiaming is so grateful. Chapter 181. The Change of Address Fee for Ningning. Upon hearing Mu Xiaomo's voice, the two parents immediately stood up. They had been waiting at home for a long time. They were just wondering why their son hadn't come back yet. Only after seeing what Mu Xiaomo, Mu Xiaoxi, and Mu Baining were holding did they realize that they had gone shopping. Carrying a suitcase while shopping, aren't you tired? Of course, the parents didn't ask any further questions. At this moment, they focused all their attention on Mu Baining. After the door opened, Mu Xiaomo's parents, Mu Chen, and Su Tang rushed over the male and female protagonists of the author's first book. You might not be used to it at first, but you'll get used to it, Tilda. My dad was wearing a dark t-shirt and loose shorts today, and since he was at home, he was wearing slippers. Mom was wearing an apron over a white t-shirt, light blue loose jeans, and slippers, which were matching Dad's. My parents are in their 40s, but they are well maintained, especially her mother, whose skin was as smooth and tender as ever. When Mu Baining saw her, she even doubted that she was Mu Xiaomo's mother. She almost wanted to call her sister. "Dad, Mom, your precious daughter is back." As soon as Mu Xiaoxi came in, she opened her arms, wanting to give her dad a big hug. But at that moment, Dad dodged Mu Xiaoxi with a quick movement. Mu Xiaoxi missed her target. "Your daughter-in-law is here." The father then came to Mu Baining's side, took the Moutai liquor and clothes from the mall from her hands, and said with a smile, "You just came like that, why did you bring a gift? Come in and sit down." Mu Baining was taken aback. Her usually quiet father was so enthusiastic. This is certainly a good thing. Just as Mu Baining was in a daze, Mu Xiaomo patted her on the shoulder. "Ningning, what are you thinking about? Come in quickly." "Oh, thank you, uncle." "Why are you calling me uncle? Call me dad." Looking at his father, Mu Xiaomo thought, no wonder he's my father. If it were anyone else, they would definitely have made Mu Baining call him uncle, but he made Mu Baining go straight to calling him dad. Mu Baining was taken aback again. She took small, quick steps and slowly entered the room. "Dad," Mu Baining said hesitantly. "Hey, that's more like it." Dad's face lit up with a smug smile, then he turned and gave Mu Xiaomo a thumbs up. Of course, Mu Baining didn't notice. Meanwhile, Mu Xiaoxi pouted. "Now that you have a daughter-in-law, you don't want your daughter anymore." Snored. "Thank goodness I have my mom." Mu Xiaoxi turned her head. At that moment, her mother, opened the refrigerator and took out a lot of fruit for Mu Baining. "Ningning, your son told me you like strawberries, bananas, and durians. I bought all the fruit today, so eat more." Seeing her mother's enthusiastic words, Mu Baining immediately felt a little embarrassed. Thank you, auntie." Before long, her mother called her to sit on the sofa. Mu Baining kept her legs tightly closed, feeling a little nervous. She sat very upright, while Mu Xiaoxi had a dark expression on her face. The girl was a little sulky, and her father had already noticed that Mu Xiaoxi's expression was a bit off. He walked to Mu Xiaoxi's side and gently stroked her hair. "What's wrong? Are you angry?" Zai is her father's sweet little darling. How could he bear to see her suffer? Hearing her father's words, Mu Xiaoxi pouted. "HMPH, now that I have a sister-in-law, does that mean I love myself too?" "How could that be? This is your first time here, sister-in-law. When are you going to bring Xiaoyi along?" Upon hearing her father's words, Mu Xyroxy was immediately filled with confusion. When did she tell her dad that she liked Zyoi? Noticing Mu Xyroxy's strange look, her father chuckled. Don't ask me how I know. I knew it from the way you looked at him when we were in school. You go and chat with your sister-in-law for a while. Dinner will be served soon, so go ahead. Okay, Dad Tilda. Mu Xyroxy chuckled and immediately put what had just happened out of her mind. Then he happily came to Mu Baining's side and ate durian with her. At this moment, Mom said, Momo, Ningning, Xyroxy, the three of you can watch TV and chat in the living room for a while. Your dad and I will go to the kitchen to continue cooking. Okay, Mom Tilda. Mu Xyroxy shouted loudly. Mu Xyomo said to Zyozai, Sis, you play with your sister-in-law for a while. I'll see if she needs my help in the kitchen. Go ahead, Tilda. Mu Xyroxy nodded heavily, and after eating a strawberry, she ate a piece of durian. The room was filled with the smell of durian, when Mu Xyroxy suddenly remembered something. Sister-in-law, don't you really like cosplay? I have a lot of beautiful dresses and clothes in my closet. Would you like to take a look? Mu Xyroxy grabbed Mu Baining's arm with her fair little hand and shook it, speaking in a coquettish tone. After hearing Mu Xyroxy's words, Mu Baining nodded slightly. I'll go check the kitchen first, then I'll be there, okay. My sister-in-law, let's go together, Tilda. Mu Baining and Mu Xyroxy stood up together. Dad, let me do it. In the kitchen, Mu Xyomo's father was making grilled fish. As the founder of Muting You, his grilled fish restaurant, he will definitely show off his skills and let his daughter-in-law taste his cooking. Seeing that her father had no intention of granting her request, Mu Xyomo sighed. Mom said, Momo, you shouldn't be in the kitchen right now. You should spend more time with your girlfriend, you know. Zyozai is with her. Mu Xyomo said calmly, and her mother said, You're her boyfriend, so you should spend more time chatting with her. Then, before her mother could finish speaking, Mu Baining and Mu Xyroxy walked in together. The already small kitchen suddenly became crowded. Ningning, what brings you here? He frowned when he saw Mu Baining come in. Let me see if your aunt and uncle need any help. Dad emphasized, Call me Dad, why are you calling me Uncle? Daughter-in-law, if you keep doing this, you won't get any red envelopes for the new year. Dad said it in a joking tone, and Mu Xyomo immediately followed up. Dad, what are you saying? If you want Ningning to call you Dad, you have to give her a change of address fee. Mu Xyroxy. That's right, Dad, you need to ask your sister-in-law for a change of address fee and then have her take me to buy snacks. You silly girl, all you ever do is eat. At that moment, Dad took out his phone. I transferred some money to Mu Xyomo. He added, All right, son, transfer the money I gave you to Ningning as a gift for changing her address to you. Chapter 182, the 660,000 yuan fee for changing one's address. Upon hearing this, Mu Xyomo was taken aback. He quickly took out his phone and opened Alipay. He was completely dumbfounded after seeing the string of numbers above. Extremely surprising, because his dad actually transferred 666,600 yuan to him. A 660,000 yuan, change of address fee. Mu Xyomo's face darkened. He remembered what his father said when he and his sister asked for living expenses at the end of August last year, when school started. You're a boy, you don't have many expenses. 2,500 a month is enough. If it's really not enough, you can take a part-time job. Zyrozai, is 30,000 enough for you? If not, just call me anytime and ask for more. That's right, the difference is that big. At that time, his father gave him 2,500 a month, while Zyrozai received 30,000. My dad has always been very low-key. Only my mom and grandparents know how much money he has. He found out from Tianyancha that his father owned more than a dozen companies. In short, Dad must be a tycoon. He is a second-generation rich kid. 6 months ago, my dad gave him 2,500 yuan a month for living expenses. Now they're directly giving Mu Baining a change of address, fee of 660,000 yuan. Brother, how much money did Dad give you? Mu Xyroxy curiously looked at Mu Xyomo's phone screen. However, Mu Xyomo used a privacy screen protector. She can't see it at all. Not much. Mu Xyomo turned her gaze to her father. Dad, do you really not need my help? If not, I'll go out. Go out and spend some quality time with Ningning. Okay, Tilda. How could he not be happy to receive 660,000 yuan? Although I now have assets worth millions, with an extra 660,000, I could afford to eat seafood for countless meals. Soon, the three of them left the kitchen. Mu Xyroxy pestered Mu Xyomo. Brother, how much money did Dad give you? 6,000. Mu Xyomo said. Oh, Tilda. The naive Mu Xyroxy believed what he said and didn't take it seriously at all. Because she now has some savings. It was given to her by her father, her sister-in-law, and her brother. 6,000 is not a lot for her right now. After leaving the living room, Mu Xiomo said to Mu Baining, "Ning Ning, that's just my dad's personality. I hope you don't mind." "I feel great," Mu Baining said with a smile, her tone serious. "Letting me call him dad means he has accepted me in his heart. It's my pleasure. You're better this way." Mu Xiomo kissed Mu Baining's cheek, and Mu Xyroxy's face darkened. "Hey Tilda, brother, next time don't kiss me in front of me, okay?" Upon hearing this, Mu Xiomo asked, "What's wrong? Are you envious of your brother's sweet romance?" I didn't." Mu Xyroxy shook her head. "I'm going to my room to play. I need to change my clothes. Don't come in, okay, brother?" Mu Xyroxy looked fierce. "Who cares?" Snort. Soon, Mu Xyroxy entered her bedroom. Mu Xiomo knew that her sister would probably change clothes a lot, and then admire herself in front of the mirror. Mu Xiomo and Mu Baining sat down on the sofa. Mu Xiomo said, "Ning Ning, I'll give you the money Dad just transferred to you." The change of a dress fee. As she spoke, Mu Xiomo took out her phone and started operating it. Mu Baining quickly stopped her, saying, no need, you can keep the 6,000 yuan. Alipay payment received, 666,000 yuan. Just then, Mu Baining's phone suddenly received a notification that 660,000 yuan had been received. Upon hearing the sound, Mu Baining froze. It went straight to 660,000. Is it fake? Mu Baining knew that there were limits on the amount that could be paid using Alipay. How could 660,000 be paid through a payment code? She was extremely surprised. Although she knew it was fake, she still took out her phone. But upon checking, 666,000 yuan had indeed been deposited into Alipay. Seeing this, Mu Baining was extremely surprised. What's going on? I actually received over 600,000 yuan. Her expression was full of astonishment, while Mu Xiomo chuckled. Actually, Dad just gave me 660,000 yuan as a change of address fee. This money is from him, Ning Ning, just accept it. Upon hearing this, Mu Baining suddenly felt her mind go blank. Good heavens, what kind of family is this? A change of address fee, 660,000 yuan directly. This, Mu Xiomo, really seems to be a second-generation rich kid. Mu Baining took a deep breath. From Mu Xiomo's words and actions to his proficiency in various musical instruments and cooking skills, it's clear that without money, how could one possibly raise such an outstanding child? No, I can't have it. Mu Baining shook her head. This is too much money, we really can't accept it. It's okay, you can't turn it anyway. Mu Baining was taken aback. Indeed, it was impossible for her to transfer the money to Mu Xiomo using Alipay, but she can transfer money using mobile banking. Thinking of this, Mu Baining prepared to take out her phone to transfer the money. Mu Xiomo said, no need for Ning Ning. If it really doesn't work, we can just ask for a smaller dowry when we get married. Well, hearing this, Mu Baining nodded. She said, it's my greatest fortune to be able to marry you. Why would I need a dowry? But I want a dowry. Mu Xiomo raised an eyebrow at her, a mischievous grin on her face. Mu Baining nodded. Okay, just tell me what kind of dowry you want. How about a Ferrari 488? Of course, Mu Xiomo said this entirely in a joking tone. He'll actually be able to afford a Ferrari 488 someday. However, this car is too flashy. It's completely impractical. However, Mu Baining nodded after hearing his words. A Ferrari 488, I think it costs less than 5 million. Momo really loves racing. Do you want to go to the track someday? Just kidding. Mu Xiomo shook her head. Actually, every boy really likes sports cars. Experiencing speed and passion is truly exhilarating. If I have money in the future, I can cultivate my interests. However, if he has a baby, he won't have as much energy to play. Upon hearing Mu Xiomo's words, Mu Baining's expression suddenly turned serious. That's right, she was trying to get into Mu Xiomo's heart. I want to know what he's really thinking. She could afford a car that costs 5 million. Honey, I'll try my best. I was just kidding, hee. No, I could sense your longing for that car from your eyes. Mu Xiomo was taken aback. What is that? He really didn't want it. It was at this moment. Mu Baining suddenly gagged and vomited. Vomit? Upon seeing this, Mu Xiomo was taken aback. Holy crap, what's going on? He quickly and gently patted Mu Baining's back. What's wrong? No, it's nothing. Mu Baining shook her head. I'm feeling a bit nauseous, probably because I've been eating too well lately. P.S. Happy Kixie Festival, everyone. Surely there aren't any single people still living alone, right? No way. Chapter 183, I chartered a private jet. Nausea. Mu Ziomo frowned. Indeed, Mu Baining would occasionally gag while playing these past few days. He thought it was because he was suddenly in Sanya and couldn't adjust to the local environment. Could it really be that he or she ate something bad? Mu Baining didn't want Mu Ziomo to worry, so she smiled and said, "It's nothing, it's just that I've been eating too well lately, and my stomach might not be able to handle it." It's good that you're all right. I'll go get you a glass of warm water." He got up and went to the water purifier, pouring Mu Baining a glass of warm water. At the same time, Mu Ziomo took a deep breath. When the two of them were exercising, he wore the condoms that Mu Changlei had given him. We can't exactly say. Mu Baining is pregnant now, can we? Shaking her head, Mu Ziomo felt she had been overthinking things. The defenses were in perfect order, so how could there be any? While her parents continued working in the kitchen, Mu Ziomo led Mu Baining on a tour of the room to familiarize her with the surroundings. About 20 minutes later, Mu Zioxi came out of the room. She had changed into pajamas by then. She probably had just finished taking photos wearing various dresses. Then, afraid of getting her precious dress dirty while eating, she came out wearing her pajamas. "Dad, Mom, is dinner ready yet?" The food portions on the plane were still very small. Mu Zioxi wasn't full at all. Hearing his daughter's voice, the father poked his head out from under the eaves. He glanced outside and then said, "Almost there, Zyrozai, you can come and get your bowl now." Hearing her father's words, Mu Zioxi immediately perked up. Having not eaten her parents' cooking for half a year, Mu Zioxi especially missed the taste of home. Here it comes, here it comes," Mu Zioxi said softly, then happily ran into the kitchen. "Ning Ning, I'll get the bowl. Wash your hands and get ready to eat." "I'll be with you." Mu Baining also quickly got up and went into the kitchen with Mu Ziomo. On the kitchen stove, there were 7 or 8 dishes: scallop and shrimp porridge, braised shark fin, goji berry and black chicken soup, roasted fish with Sichuan peppercorns, and several kinds of green vegetables such as canned yellow peach soup. It's fair to say that today's meal was exceptionally plentiful. "Ning Ning, you don't need to carry it. Let Ziomo and Zioxi carry it. By the way, I heard you can drink. How about we have a drink together?" Mu Baining was taken aback, and then her gaze fell on Mu Ziomo. He told his dad, "She'll drink it." Mu Ziomo was completely bewildered after hearing her father's words. "Dad, who said Ning Ning drinks alcohol?" Dad was taken aback and he hurriedly said, I remembered wrong. "But Dad, I can have a drink with you." Mu Ziomo chuckled. "After all, I won't be a student at Magic University anymore, I'll be a professor. I need a car for my daily commute, Dad. Why don't you buy me one?" Mu Ziomo said while doing her work, and her father nodded in agreement. "Okay, what kind of car do you want, son?" "Ferrari 488. He still remembered the time his dad deleted him from WeChat. However, with him in front of her and Mu Baining present, she'll probably agree immediately. Upon hearing his son's voice, the father's face immediately darkened. "I don't have a son like you. Who are you? What are you doing in my house?" "Buff," Mu Zioxi chuckled. "Ha ha ha, that's hilarious. Brother, when I have money in the future, I can buy it for you." "Okay, thank you." "Dad, look at Zioxi, and then look at yourself. Then just let her buy it for you. I don't have any money anyway." Soon, the 5 people sat down at the dining table amidst laughter and chatter. Since no one else was drinking, Dad didn't intend to drink this time either. Dad said first, "Ning Ning, this is your home now, so don't be shy, just eat." Thank you, Dad, Tilda." This time she called him Dad directly. When Mu Baining called him Dad, Mu Chen's father couldn't stop smiling. He picked up his chopsticks. "Here, eat. My son told me you really like his grilled fish, right? His skills are something I passed down. You should try it and see if mine tastes better than Zio Mo's." "Okay, sure, Tilda." Mu Baining nodded obediently, then picked up a piece of fish. The fish smelled remarkably similar to what Mu Ziomo had made. Her cherry-like lips parted slightly, and in the blink of an eye, she put the piece of fish into her mouth. Mu Ziomo, Mu Zioxi, and their 2 parents all looked at Mu Baining's expression. Everyone is eagerly awaiting his evaluation. Seeing that Mu Baining had already swallowed the fish, Mu Ziomo asked, "So, is Dad's cooking better or mine?" When asked that question, Mu Baining was immediately stumped, because he felt that whether Mu Ziomo made it or his father made it, the taste was really not that different. You can barely taste it. They were all incredibly delicious. Because Mu Ziomo is her boyfriend, Mu Baining spoke softly. I still think Ziomo's cooking is the best. Absolutely. He was delighted to hear Mu Baining's voice. As expected of his wife, she always sides with him in everything she does. Meanwhile, her father, who was on the other side, sighed upon hearing her words. All right, Momo, you'll be in charge of cooking at home from now on. Do you know? He was suddenly stunned when he heard his father's words. Should I have him cook from now on? It's not impossible. Anyway, he won't stay at home for more than a month. Don't worry, Dad, leave it to me. He patted his chest, and at the same time, Mu Baining said, I can help too. Momo and I can take care of making this year's New Year's Eve dinner. Haha, okay. My dad's face was full of smiles. Speaking of the New Year's Eve dinner, Mu Ziomo suddenly thought of his grandparents. His grandparents live in the same neighborhood as him now. He and Ningning are coming over tonight. His dad shouldn't have left them uninformed. Mainly, Mu Ziomo's grandparents also want him to find a girlfriend as soon as possible. It would be best to get pregnant soon. In this way, they can hold a child again in their old age. Mu Ziomo asked, Dad, why didn't Grandpa and Grandma come? They went on vacation. My dad's answer was quite relaxed. They're in France now, and they'll probably be back 2 or 3 days before the new year. Upon hearing this, he frowned and asked, International flights must be quite busy, right? Will they be able to come back? Yes, you can. My dad said nonchalantly, I've chartered a private jet, so you don't need to worry about this. Seeing her father speak without batting an eye, Mu Ziomo was taken aback. My dad chartered a private jet. Holy crap. Chapter 184, I picked up a huge doll. Really, Dad? Of course it's true. Dad didn't dwell on the issue any further. He then turned his gaze to Mu Baining and said, By the way, Ningning, what do your in-laws do? Mu Baining was taken aback, but she wasn't surprised by Momo's father's question. At this point, he would definitely ask about her family situation. So Mu Baining said, My dad is currently the captain of the criminal investigation team, which means he's a police officer. Cough, cough, cough. At this point, Dad suddenly started coughing violently. He was shocked. Good heavens, this is real torture. Ningning's father is actually the captain of the criminal investigation team. This profession is pretty good. He glanced at Mu Ziomo, a hint of worry flashing in his eyes. Mu Baining continued, My mom is currently a manager at a company, and she's usually quite busy with work. I also have a shop now. He turned to look at Mu Ziomo. He even asked Brother Hu to be the spokesperson for my store. Mu Ziomo said, You know Brother Hu this. Upon hearing this, Dad quickly chimed in. Oh yes, I watched my son grow up. Mu Baining was taken aback. Did you watch Huji grow up? Good heavens. Although it was hard to believe, she couldn't really refute it. What if he's telling the truth? Mu Zioxi was completely bewildered, because in her memory, her father didn't seem to know Brother Hu. My dad loves to brag, never mind. He shook his head, and then they ate together. After dinner, Mu Baining and Mu Ziomo washed the dishes. It was quite cold outside, but Mu Baining still wanted to go for a walk, and of course, he didn't feel comfortable objecting. As for the night, Mu Baining naturally slept in his arms. Of course, the Dragon Siege game was not played. The resettlement housing here is quite old, and the sound insulation is particularly poor. If Mu Baining couldn't resist, that would be too embarrassing. The next day, because she had nothing to do and was bored at home, Mu Ziomo took Mu Baining out for a stroll. Of course, I didn't bring the annoying Mu Zioxi with me. She was sent off to play with her childhood sweetheart. As the capital city of Jiangbei, Xinhai City has a lot of places to visit. However, because it was winter and the weather was too cold, Mu Ziomo did not take her to any tourist attractions. Instead, they went to the arcade. To be honest, even though they've known Mu Baining for so long, they've never been to an arcade. It was during winter break, and the arcade was packed with people. Countless couples play various arcade games inside. Claw machines, fishing games, King of Fighters, all sorts of games. And his favorite childhood games, like Ultraman 3D. At this moment, Mu Ziomo turned her gaze to Mu Baining. Then he asked, So, Ningning, is there anything you want to play? Mu Baining frowned. She hadn't been to the arcade in many years. When I was in high school, I often came here with my classmates to play the claw machine. Because her skills were particularly poor, she tried at least 50 or 60 times, but never managed to grab a plush toy. Thinking of this, she turned her gaze to Mu Ziomo. How good are you at claw machines? It has to be good, Tilda, Mu Ziomo said without thinking. Really? Mu Baining's eyes lit up. Then I'll go check out the claw machine. As she spoke, Mu Baining had already taken his hand. The two of them went to a claw machine together. This claw machine contains a purple unicorn plush toy that is about 20 cm tall. He could tell from Mu Baining's eyes that Mu Baining really liked this unicorn. Do you like it? Mu Ziomo had already taken out her phone and scanned the QR code. Well, because he wasn't confident in his skills, he bought 50 chances to play the claw machine. Of course, all the claw machines in the factory can be used. It's not just the one in front of you. Mu Baining just asked him about his claw machine skills, and he had to answer that he was good. Even if it's not good, you have to say it's good. A man can't say he's no good. Momo, can you pick it up? Absolutely. He nodded. Don't worry, I'll definitely get it on my first try, and then grab all the plush toys in the room for you. Stop bragging. I'll demonstrate it for you now. After selecting the desired device on her phone, Mu Ziomo began shaking the joystick. His eyes were fixed on the claw inside the claw machine. He quickly aimed at one of the dolls below. At the same time, the button was pressed. Beep, accompanied by a feedback sound from the claw machine. The claw of the claw machine accurately grabbed the doll inside. But just as the claw retracted upwards, the doll fell straight down. Mu Ziomo. Mu Baining. Depend on. His face darkened. I clearly grabbed the plush toy. So why did the claw on the claw machine suddenly release its grip? Actually, this was deliberately set up by the vendors. If we don't set it up this way, he'll definitely lose a fortune. At the same time, Mu Baining, who was standing to the side, said, Hey, who just said it was a one-shot kill? This was just an accident. Let's try again. This time I'm sure I can get you the biggest plush toy. I'll trust you one more time. Mu Baining nodded slightly. Soon, Mu Ziomo began the second operation. However, just like the first time, they didn't arrest them. At this moment, Mu Ziomo's expression is just as ugly as the third emoji on your phone. Depend on. Ning Ning, I'll do it again. Fail. One more time. Fail. I'll do it a billion more times. I refuse to believe it. Fail. 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 Mu Ziomo, de. Seeing Mu Ziomo's expression, which looked as if she had swallowed a fly, Mu Baining almost burst out laughing. Who was just bragging about getting a kill on the first try. Seeing that Mu Ziomo was wasting game attempts, Mu Baining said, Momo, if it really doesn't work, let me try. Okay, Tilda. He nodded and made way for Mu Baining. Mu Baining operated the remote control, aimed it at a doll and pressed the button. Beep. Just like Mu Ziomo's first time, her claws caught the doll and lifted it up. Mu Baining clapped her hands excitedly. Momo was indeed inferior to her. She had managed to ejaculate on her first try. Humph. Just as Mu Baining was about to show off, just as the claw machine was about to return to the drop window, the claw on top suddenly released. And so Mu Baining couldn't get it out. Buff. Seeing this, Mu Ziomo almost died laughing. Holy crap, Ning Ning, I feel like this claw machine is targeting you. I don't care, I want to do it again. Mu Baining continued to control the machine. Mu Ziomo came directly behind her. He then picked her up. Mu Baining. Ning Ning, I didn't lie to you, did I? I want a super big plush toy. P.S. Xiaming was wrong. Xiaming will never say that you gentlemen are lonely again. The reader who sends flowers is sure to find love this year. Those who give this a 5-star rating will surely become rich this year. Humble Xiaming begs for flowers, gifts, and 5 stars. Bang, bang, bang. Chapter 185, The Secret Room of Hongd Hospital. Mu Baining, who was playing the claw machine, never expected that Mu Ziomo would pick her up from behind at this moment. What he just said meant he was treating her like a doll. This metaphor is just unparalleled. However, feeling Mu Ziomo lift me up isn't bad either. At this moment, many people around turned their attention to this place. Many people wore a sour, jealous look on their faces. Here, Mu Baining's looks were absolutely top-notch. Even some who have girlfriends keep staring at them. Not far away, a couple was arguing about this. With both feet off the ground, Mu Baining struggled and said, Okay, Momo, put me down quickly. I guess you got the doll. Beg me. Momo, I hate you so much. Slowly put Mu Baining down. Her face was already slightly flushed. Back beside Mu Baining snorted. HMPH, there are so many people around, Momo, you're so annoying. So what if there are a lot of people? Can't I even hug my girlfriend? Mu Baining shook her head. Aren't you embarrassed? What's the big deal? Actually, he's always been thick-skinned. As long as I'm not embarrassed, it's others who are embarrassed. Beep. Mu Baining didn't reply to him, but continued operating the claw machine. I've played more than 10 rounds already, and maybe the claw machine is addictive, but I haven't managed to grab a single plush toy yet. How about we get a different machine? Okay. The two switched to a different machine, and Musayo Omo continued operating it. However, the results improved considerably after that, and every few times he was able to grab a doll. I had over 30 chances and managed to catch 6 plush toys. There are Pink Panther, Doryman, Boiling Sheep, and Pretty Sheep, and 2 other dolls whose names I can't recall. Mew Baining held 6 dolls in her arms, feeling very happy. Seeing her beaming smile, Musayo Omo said with a touch of narcissism, "How about it? My skills are pretty good, aren't they?" Mew Baining nodded. "However, it's a bit of a loss." Musayo Omo, "That's normal. If you lose money in business, who can keep going?" Mew Baining nodded slightly. "That's true. Anyway, we don't play often, and we don't know when we'll play the claw machine again." The arcade games were a bit childish for the two of them. Although Mew Baining also wanted to relive her childhood, she felt particularly embarrassed when she saw many children around her. That's so embarrassing. So she didn't linger at the arcade. She quickly dragged Musayo Omo away. There were many things to do in Wanda Plaza. The two of them strolled from the 3rd floor to the 4th floor. Suddenly, Musayo Omo was attracted by an escape room called Hongd Hospital Escape Room Experience Hall. Once Mew Baining noticed the secret room, her gaze was immediately drawn to it. Noticing her expression, Musayo Omo asked, "What's wrong, Ning Ning? Do you want to play in an escape room?" Hongd Hospital is quite popular locally, and it's known for its slightly frightening escapist rooms. There are no NPCs inside, which means it's a terrifying puzzle game. Mew Baining hesitated for a moment after hearing Musayo Omo's words. "Yeah, actually, it's just being timid. The store's decor is particularly terrifying. I didn't want to play. Musayo Omo interrupted him before Mew Baining could finish speaking. "I see, so you're just a coward." Musayo Omo didn't know if this trick would work on Mew Baining, but she usually seems to like to put on a brave face. Hearing Musayo Omo's words, Mew Baining rolled her eyes at him. "Let's play then, who's afraid of who?" Tusk, tusk, tusk. Musayo Omo decisively grabbed her hand, pulled Mew Baining inside, and said, "Don't cry when we start playing, and don't whine and cry in my arms, okay? Letter 2C9, TCH tilde tilde." "No way." Hearing her words, Musayo Omo thought to herself, "I'll be waiting for you to be proven wrong." The two people had already gone inside. The shop wasn't very big. There was a bar counter and 3 tables in a corner. On the table are some board games, such as Three Kingdoms Kill, Monopoly, and Ludo. There were 2 young men waiting for someone inside the shop. After Musayo Omo and Mew Baining walked in, the staff at the bar quickly said, "Welcome, you two. Are you here to play in the escape room?" After receiving Musayo Omo's reply, the staff member said, "We currently have 5 escape room scenes in our store. You can take a look." As she spoke, she pointed to the information sheet on the bar. "There's something about going back to school, Hongd Hospital, and also some cultivation and comedy themes. There's no need for cultivation-themed or comedic content. At this moment, Musayo Omo has already focused her attention on the hospital and returning to school." Musayo Omo asked, "How about going back to school?" Staff member, "The horror level of back to school is 5 stars. There are 10 NPCs and the scene is quite large. It is better to have at least 8 people playing at the same time." Upon hearing that there were NPCs, Mew Baining felt a pang of panic. She shook her head repeatedly. "Momo, let's just forget about it." Seeing Mew Baining's frightened expression, the bartender said, "Actually, you can play this Hongd Hospital game. The 2 guys behind you also chose this one. If you want to play, the 4 of you can go in together." Upon hearing this, Mew Baining asked, "Are there any NPCs inside this Hongd Hospital?" "No," the staff member shook his head. "This is a slightly scary escape room, which is also our store's specialty. The reviews are good, so you can try it out." Mew Baining fell into consideration. At the same time, upon hearing Musayo Omo and Mew Baining's voices, the 2 men who had been waiting for a long time also came over. They were also college students, and one of them was quite overweight, probably weighing over 200 pounds. The other person was the complete opposite of him. He was very thin, over 190 cm tall, and probably weighed only about 120 catties, as thin as a bamboo pole. "Hey girl, let's play together, let's team up." Yeah, we can look out for each other if we team up right." Because she had been through it all, Mew Baining felt embarrassed to refuse. She didn't agree immediately, but instead looked at Musayo Omo. "Momo, is it okay?" Of course, Mu Ziomo looked up. How much are the tickets? It's 199 per person. Just scan the WeChat QR code here. Okay, Tilda. After paying, a waiter gave them a blindfold and a walkie-talkie. You will need to put on blindfolds now. Staff will then lead you into the escape room. After the voice announcement ends, remove the blindfold and the game will officially begin. If you need help using the walkie-talkie, please line up now and put your hands on the shoulders of the person in front of you. The game is about to begin. Chapter 186, we're here, miserable eating dog food, a Chinese slang term for witnessing a couple's relationship. The host deliberately lowered his voice, while Mu Baining hesitated. At this moment, she had no idea whether she was behind or in front of Mu Ziomo. If it's behind her, someone will put their hand on her shoulder. Although it's nothing serious, I'm not really happy about it. Come on, let's go to the back. Mu Ziomo held her hand tightly and handed the walkie-talkie to the skinny guy in the lead. Then Mu Ziomo placed one hand on the fat man's shoulder in front of her and held Mu Baining's hand tightly with the other. The staff had already led the way, and because she was wearing a blindfold, Mu Baining was already feeling a little panicked. Eerie music began to play in her ears, and Mu Baining felt her heart start to race. Click Tilda. A door opened, and after walking for about half a minute, Mu Ziomo finally stopped. At the same time, a staff member's voice rang out. Okay, the voice announcement will start shortly. After the voice announcement ends, take off your blindfold and then you can start the puzzle game. After saying that, the staff member quickly left the area. A man's voice came from the speakers not far away. My name is Lao Wei and I'm a police officer. Recently, a lot of bizarre cases have been happening in the hospital and it seems many people have died. So I was ordered to come here to investigate this matter, but I got separated from my colleagues. How could they just disappear in an instant? The sound ended. At this moment, the skinny Li Xiangyang spoke up. Is it over? Can we take off the blindfold now? Fatty Guangshuo. I took it off a long time ago, that's all. Hearing the two talking, Mu Ziomo and Mu Baining also took off their blindfolds. What comes into view is the lobby of a hospital. In front of them was a hospital service desk with the 4 characters, Honged Hospital, written crookedly on it. The lighting was extremely dim, with the emergency lights emitting a weak glow. The surrounding walls were moldy and stained with blood. The scene presented to everyone was a particularly eerie and abandoned hospital. At this moment, the fat man next to him spoke up. Let's get to know each other. The fat man pushed up his glasses and turned his gaze to Mu Ziomo. My name is Li Xiangyang, and this is my good buddy Guensuo. May I ask your names? My name is Mu Ziomo, and this is my girlfriend Mu Baining. Mu Ziomo answered quite easily. Upon hearing that Mu Baining was his girlfriend, both of their expressions changed. Honestly, isn't the point of playing these horror-themed escape rooms just to find a couple of girls to protect you, and maybe even add them on WeChat? It's not that interesting if it's someone else's girlfriend. But since we're already here, we still have to play the game. By this time, they had already got to know each other briefly, and Mu Ziomo turned her attention to her surroundings. The surrounding environment was quite noisy. There was a folder on the service desk containing various medical records, and there's a clock on the wall not far away. The clock shows 8:15, and there is a lot of information about the hospital's doctors on the wall. There is also an elevator not far away. There were only these things around them, and the 4 of them were completely bewildered when they arrived. Li Xiangyang said, well, we can split up and observe first to see if we can find any clues. Guenshuo agreed after hearing this, nodding and saying, okay, but I'll go take a look to the east. Ever since she took off the blindfold, Mu Baining has been gripping his hand tightly. She was completely different from her arrogant demeanor outside. What's wrong is Ningning scared. She had to admit that she was indeed scared. In the past, when her best friend wanted to take her to play horror-themed escape room games, she was too scared to try them. I only dared to play today because I had Mu Ziomo by my side. Seeing Mu Baining's timid appearance, Mu Ziomo pulled her into his arms and gently patted her shoulder. Don't be afraid, your husband is here, I will protect you. Mu Baining gave a very soft, Coincidentally, Guenshuo and Li Xiangyang witnessed this intimate scene between Mu Ziomo and Mu Baining. Blanche, Li Xiangyang's face darkened. Damn it, they're comforting their sister over there while we're stuck here eating dog food. Guenshuo rolled his eyes at him. You just said that if they were siblings, I should go for it. I don't know either. All right, Let's finish the next round as soon as possible, Cha. Soon, they began playing the game. Mu Ziomo held Mu Baning's hand tightly, leading her to search for clues inside. The corridors on both sides of the reception desk are quite long, and there are also many rooms. Of course, most of the rooms are just decorations. No, except for the pharmacy, all the other rooms are just decorations. They couldn't even get into the pharmacy. Instead, there was a dark hole with a layer of black cloth inside. You can put your hand in. Ning Ning, I feel like there's something in here. Mu Baining nodded and said, then let's call them over and let them take it. Mu Ziomo was speechless. Goodness, what Ning Ning said makes perfect sense. Mu Ziomo said playfully, I think you can take it. Upon hearing this, Mu Baining was immediately shocked. She shook her head repeatedly. No, 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 I wouldn't dare. Just kidding, just kidding. Mu Ziomo smiled, and without any hesitation reached her hand inside. Mu Baining clung to him even tighter, as if afraid that Mu Ziomo might encounter some danger. Of course, there was no hidden mechanism in the medicine dispensing window. Instead, I found a slip of paper. After taking it out, a string of text appeared before his eyes. At the same time, Li Xiangyang and Gwen Shuo also came over. Both of them looked somewhat disappointed. Li Xiangyang asked, how did it go? Did you find any clues? Mu Ziomo nodded and handed the note directly to Li Xiangyang. Li Xiangyang also read it aloud. I am my father's son. My father disappeared after he came to this hospital. However, I found a clue he left behind, a recording of my father on the phone. Just by calling Dad, I can find out how to get into the elevator. If something happens to me too, I hope you can save me as soon as possible. Wei Anand. P.S. I'd appreciate flowers and free gifts. There's no need to spend money on gifts, just watching an ad is fine. Xiaoming knelt down in gratitude. Chapter 187, Holy Crap, a Ghost. Mu Ziomo was taken aback after hearing Li Xiangyang's words. Make a phone call, do we have a phone here? Yes, Gwen Shuo nodded and turned his gaze to the hospital service desk. There is a landline on the front desk, but the phone is not powered on. It seems we need to find a way to power it. Upon hearing this, Mu Ziomo took Mu Baning's hand and they went to the service desk together. I checked the phone and it really wasn't powered on. Mu Baining turned her gaze to Mu Ziomo. I feel we should be able to find the answer in the medical records. Li Xiangyang shook his head. Not necessarily. I think it's the circuit breaker since the emergency lights are on in the room right now. Li Xiangyang said in a serious tone, while Mu Ziomo frowned. Gwen Shuo, I think it's a power switch, but we can't go into those rooms. They're just decorations. Let's go take a look first. Then let's go see if there's a power switch. You two can do whatever you want. Li Xiangyang said with a jealous look on his face, and soon left with a Wen Shuo. The main reason is that neither of them wants to see Mu Ziomo and Mu Baining showing affection. Mu Ziomo turned her head slightly to look at Mu Baining. Let's take a look at the medical records on the table first. She nodded, and soon, Mu Ziomo and Mu Baining began looking at the medical records. Hongda Hospital is a psychiatric hospital. It mainly treats diseases such as schizophrenia and depression. After a quick look, there were indeed no clues inside. However, he did find many framed business cards of doctors in the service desk drawer. However, the doctor's information wall behind them lacks these business cards. Mu Ziomo observed it carefully and found that the picture frame was made of metal and was particularly heavy. Mu Baining followed his gaze and looked over. Is it enough to just put these doctors' photo frames on the formula wall? I'll give it a try. Mu Ziomo nodded slightly. In truth, he didn't know either. After a careful review, it was found that the doctor's specialty can be determined through the patient's medical records. After arranging the photos in order, Mu Ziomo and Mu Baining placed the photo frames inside. Just then, the lights in the room flickered twice. Mu Baining instinctively threw herself into his arms. Not far away, Gwen Shuo and Li Xiangyang were discussing how to enter a decorated room. The lights suddenly went out, which startled them both. Holy crap! Suddenly everything went dark, causing Li Xiangyang to jump while hugging Gwen Shuo. Gwen Shuo suddenly picked up Li Xiangyang in a princess carry and pulled the 200-pound fat man into his arms. Just then, the indoor lights suddenly turned on. Mu Ziomo and Mu Baining turned their gazes toward Li Xiangyang and Gwen Shuo. Seeing the two of them embracing so intimately, Mu Ziomo and Mu Baining were completely bewildered. What's going on? Mu Baining shook her head. I don't know, could it be that there? Gay. Hissed Tilda. Mu Ziomo was stunned when she heard this. Are they both gay? This is terrifying. At the same time, Li Xiangyang was also completely bewildered. He said, "Damn it, why are you hugging me? Damn it, it was you who jumped into my arms when the lights went out." Li Xiangyang quickly got down and came to Mu Xiaomo's side. "How did you manage to get the electricity on? If we put the doctor's information up there, it will get a bit better." Soon, Li Xiangyang and Gwen Shuo found Lao Wei's phone number. After entering the message into the landline, Lao Wei's voice message came through. "I discovered the hospital's secret. If you set the clock to 10:10, the elevator will be powered on. It leads to another part of the hospital." Beep, beep, beep. The sound ended. The four of them quickly turned their attention to the clock on the side. The time on the clock can be adjusted. With the button, Mu Xiaomo quickly adjusted the time to 10:10. "Should this be fine?" Mu Baining then handed her hand to Mu Xiaomo. He took her hand, and the four of them arrived at the elevator together. I pressed the button, and the elevator doors slowly opened. Creak. With a heavy mechanical creak, the elevator doors slowly opened. There was only a scarlet light in the elevator, and a blast of cold air followed as the elevator doors opened. Hiss tilde. Mu Xiaomo shrank her neck. The elevator was extremely cold, and the scarlet light shining on them looked particularly terrifying. They immediately felt as if they had entered an ice cellar. "Let's go inside." Mu Xiaomo and Mu Baining went in first. Li Xiangyang and Gwen Shuo followed closely behind. I took a look, and the elevator has 5 floors. They pressed a button, but the elevator didn't move. Then he noticed a line of words engraved on the side of the elevator. The general idea is that by pressing the elevator buttons in sequence, you can enter a special floor. The sequence was written in Morse code, and as an engineering student, I am familiar with this. The sequence was 521,436. After pressing it, the elevator started moving. The ground made a crackling sound, and throughout the whole process, Mu Baining buried her head in Mu Xiaomo's arms. She was terrified. The elevator doors opened quickly. Click. As the elevator doors slowly opened, a pitch-black corridor came into view. It was pitch black, so dark you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. Holy crap, it's so dark. Li Xiangyang couldn't help but say that Mu Baining's heart was in her throat when she saw how dark it was in front of her. She said, "Momo, I'm so scared." "Don't be afraid, don't be afraid." Mu Xiaomo was also a little flustered, mainly because the scene in front of her was simply too dark. "I can't see anything." "Let's go." He glanced at Li Xiangyang and Gwen Shuo beside him. The two of them were blocking his way. After hearing Mu Xiaomo's words, the two slowly began to move. Duh, duh, duh. The ground was wet and slippery, and there were terrifying sounds all around, including the screams of cats. The cat's screams sounded like a baby crying, and Mu Xiaomo felt a chill run down her spine upon hearing them. Boom! The elevator doors closed, and the last bit of red light disappeared completely. However, Li Xiangyang and Gwen Shuo did not stop. At this point, they had no choice but to grit their teeth and move forward. It took about 10 seconds. At that moment, the two people in front seemed to have triggered some kind of mechanism. Immediately afterwards, a shriek of a vengeful ghost reached my ears. And something flew over. Holy crap, a ghost. Holy crap. Because Mu Xiaomo was behind the fat man, she knew nothing. All that could be heard was a scream from Li Xiangyang and Gwen Shuo, and then someone seemed to collapse to the ground. Then he felt as if something was holding his legs. Mu Xiaomo. Holy crap. Mu Xiaomo went up and kicked him. Chapter 188, Should I buy a pregnancy test later? Ouch, that hurts. Holy shit, stop kicking me, holy shit. 3 seconds later, a faint green light appeared around them, and the person beneath his feet was actually Li Xiangyang. The guy had 2 shoe prints on his face, some light water stains on the ground, and he was all wet. Mu Xiaomo was completely bewildered. What's going on? He quickly helped Li Xiangyang up. Why are you lying down? Looking at the shoe print on his face, Mu Xiaomo didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This guy was so scared that he immediately lay down. He even kicked me twice. That's outrageous. Wait, someone's missing. Mu Xiaomo was stunned for a moment, then turned her head. Behind them, Gwen Shuo was crouching on the ground, holding his head. My body is shaking. Li Xiangyang quickly walked over and patted him on the shoulder. Holy crap, Wen Shuo, this is outrageous. Is it really that scary? Look at me, I'm perfectly fine. Mu Xiaomo was speechless. Weren't you just hugging my leg? Are you all right? Gwen Shuo was indeed quite frightened. He slowly stood up, and then he noticed that his crotch was wet. Even Omo noticed it. Is this guy scared out of his wits? It took more than an hour for Omo, Mu Baining, and two other extras to finish playing in the escape room. During this time, he protected Mu Baining. Li Xiangyang and Gwen Shuo have been constantly being subjected to public displays of affection. That's how it was the whole time. How are you, Ningning? Were you scared? After coming out, Mu Baining felt much better. She vowed that this would be the last time she ever played an escape room game in her life. That's fucking terrifying. Mu Baining straightened her chest, but her confidence seemed a little weak. It's just so-so. I'm not scared at all. Oh ho. Mu Omo was taken aback, then said, "This shop also has an escape room. How about we play detention together?" Hearing Mu Omo's words, Mu Baining shook her head heavily. Damn, let's just forget about it. Buff. Seeing Mu Baining's frightened expression, Mu Omo chuckled. Tisk, aren't you not scared at all? Us, how annoying. Mu Baining punched his chest with her pink little fist and said, I was wrong, okay, darling? It's a bit scary. I don't want to play anymore. Upon hearing this, Mu Omo flicked her cheek. Okay, shall we go out and buy a hot milk tea now? Okay, let's go get the plush toys we won first, Tilda. Soon the two of them left. Meanwhile, Li Xiangyang and Gwen Shuo watched the two of them being all lovey-dovey. His face darkened. Let's go, let's play another round. This time let's find two young ladies. Xing, we've played through it once. If we do it again, we'll have more experience, and maybe we can even show off a bit. Downstairs, Mu Omo and Mu Baining had already bought a hot milk tea and left Wanda Plaza together. Mu Baining stroked her lower abdomen, feeling quite puzzled. Because this time of month is when her period comes. Because she usually pays special attention to her lifestyle, never stays up late, and doesn't eat much spicy food, her period is usually very punctual. She had made preparations 2 days in advance, but this month she didn't come. Mu Baining felt a little flustered. This concerns her health, and she played games with Momo last time, could it be? That's not right. He was definitely wearing that thing back then. She frowned, still unable to understand what was going on. Could it be menstrual irregularity? Or perhaps irregular menstruation? Could it be that she's pregnant? No. She shook her head, feeling it was impossible. Mu Baining didn't think much of it. If all else failed, she could take a pregnancy test later. Recently, she has been experiencing dry heaving. Thinking of this, Mu Baining felt extremely panicked. The rest of the time, Mu Omo took Mu Baining for a stroll in Xinhai, had a meal, and then watched a movie with her. When I got home, it was already 6 o'clock in the evening. Heh, Ada. Little Mark dares to show off his limited skills before an expert. I'll just start killing indiscriminately. As soon as Mu Omo and Mu Baining got home, they saw Mu Xiaoxi playing Honor of Kings with a neighbor's little kid. Of course, the lines just now were spoken by the neighbor's kid. Upon hearing footsteps, Mu Xiaoxi quickly turned her head. Upon seeing that it was her brother and sister-in-law, she immediately threw her phone on the sofa. Brothers, you're back. Yes, I'm back. Wow, sister-in-law, did you win this plush toy? Can I have this pink panther? Seeing Mu Xiaoxi's eyes light up, Mu Baining chuckled. She nodded, of course you can have all these dolls. Hee, thank you, sister-in. Mu Xiaoxi smiled sheepishly. At the same time, Mu Omo asked, where are mom and dad, aren't they home? Mu Xiaoxi nodded. Dad went to the company, mom went to muting you, and I just came back from Xiaoyi's house and saw Xiaoji, so I brought him home to play for a while. Xiaoji is the kid who plays Honor of Kings. He's in 4th grade this year and is his neighbor. His academic performance is questionable, but he's really good at video games. Damn, this Xiang Yu is such a rip-off. Xiaoji put down his phone, looked up at Mu Omo, and then a smile appeared on his face. Momo, you're back. Mu Omo nodded. This is your sister-in-law, Ningning, and this is Xiaoji, the grandson of old Wang next door. Hello, Tilde. Mu Baining greeted him with a smile. At the same time, Mu Xiaoxi said, Brother, hurry up and cook, I'm starving. Dad said he might not be back tonight, and Mom doesn't know when she'll be back. Okay, what do you want to eat? As Mu Omo was speaking, she took off her coat. Just then, Mu Xiaoxi had a sudden inspiration. She took Mu Baining's hand and said, Sister-in-law, you haven't been to our shop yet. How about we go there for grilled fish today? Hearing this, Mu Omo also felt that it was possible to be punished. Because he didn't want to cook either, Mu Baining did not agree, but instead focused her attention on Mu Omo. Why are you looking at me? Let's go together then. Let's go. Mu Xiaoxi was taken aback. Wait, Xiaoji and I will finish this game of King of Glory, hee hee. Gummed. At the same time, Mu Baining took a deep breath. Should I buy a pregnancy test later? Chapter 189 Ningning is so sensible. About 10 minutes later, Mu Xiaoxi and her neighbor Xiaoji finished their game of Honor of Kings. Ash happily returned to his home. Mu Xiaomo then led Mu Baining and Mu Xiaoxi to the underground parking garage. My dad is a car enthusiast. In fact, he owns quite a few cars, but he just won't let anyone bang on them. Just now, Mu Xiaomo secretly took one of his father's car keys. I searched downstairs for a long time before I finally found the car. It's an Audi RS7. This car wasn't there before. His dad must have bought it when he was in college. The car was covered in a layer of dust, and it looked like it hadn't been driven for more than a month. I don't know if we'll be able to get on the road. The car has license plates, so there shouldn't be a problem. He didn't have much contact with cars in high school. He got his driver's license during the summer vacation, and then school started again, so he hasn't had a chance to study them properly. He barely even touched the family car. Press the unlock button, and a yellow running light flashes. And it's accompanied by a click unlocking sound. Mu Xiaomo went to the passenger side and opened the car door. Seeing that there were seats inside, Mu Xiaomo took a deep breath. Thankfully, this car had seats. Some readers may ask, what kind of car doesn't have seats? I still remember the eve of the start of university. Mu Xiaomo and Mu Xiaoxi planned to secretly take their father's car for a drive. When he opened the door of a Nissan Sylphy, he was surprised to find that, apart from the driver's seat, the passenger seat and the rear seats were all gone. When he got home and asked his father, he was so angry he almost vomited blood. Nissan Sylphy, that's the God of War GTR. Mu Xiaomo said she didn't understand what the God of War GTR was. I later learned that it was actually a performance car. Then his father taught him a lot about cars. Things like removing seats for weight reduction or modifying the exhaust system. It's just illegal modification. How do we get on the road after making these changes? Dad coughed up blood plus $9.99. At this moment, Mu Baining was already sitting in the passenger seat. Mu Xiaoxi, on the other hand, consciously sat in the back row. She looked a little sulky, but of course she was used to it. My brother is the type who forgets his sister once he has a wife. After Mu Baining sat down, he also got into the car immediately. After pressing the start button, a roar of a giant beast followed. Buzz. There was even a sound of backfire. Mu Xiaomo was taken aback. The engine was incredibly loud. Without much thought, he quickly drove the car away from the underground parking garage with Mu Baining and Mu Xiaoxi. As it drove along the road, the deep roar of the engine attracted the attention of many boys. Perhaps inheriting her father's genes, Mu Xiaomo thoroughly enjoys the sound of the car's engine. Mu Baining and Mu Xiaoxi, on the other hand, looked helpless. Because this car is just too noisy. Not only is it loud, but the suspension is also stiff. There are so many speed bumps here, they're making my butt hurt. Fortunately, the residential area is not far from Muting Yu's location. Only 5 or 6 minutes later, the car was parked in the underground parking garage of Minsheng Square. This plaza is comparable to Wanda Plaza, and my dad's, Muting Yu, shop is on the second floor of the plaza. Upon arriving here, a sense of familiarity washed over me. When they were little, he and Mu Xiaoxi often came here to play, and then did their homework together in the kitchen storage room. He learned his grilled fish cooking skills here. Brother, doesn't this feel like coming home? Yes. He nodded emphatically. Upon reaching the second floor, Mu Xiaoxi immediately took Mu Baining's hand and said excitedly, "Sister-in-law, look, that blue sign is our shop." Mu Xiaoxi deliberately used "our family" to make it feel especially warm and welcoming. They soon arrived outside. Because it's winter break now, the shop has hired a lot of new winter break workers. They were all 17 or 18-year-old kids. The chef is a fixed person, and Mu Xiaomo was taken aback when she entered the store. Because the shop was already full at that time, many people even waited in the waiting area to get a meal. Meanwhile, their mother was busy outside. There are quite a few customers. This is the peak dining time. 2 of the aunties are off duty today, so the shop is really short-staffed right now. "Mom Tilda, look who I brought with me," Mu Xiaoxi said with a smile, and her mother was taken aback when she heard Xiaoxi's voice. What brings you here?" She looked around and realized that Mu Xiaoxi had brought her sister-in-law to dinner. But by then the shop was already full. "Hey Xiaoxi, the restaurant is a bit crowded today. Why don't you take your wife somewhere else to eat?" I've been so busy today. Momo, take your girlfriend out to eat. The shop was indeed very busy. Upon hearing this, Mew Baining immediately said, Auntie, what are you saying? I'm here to help out today. Zumb. Hearing this, Mom was stunned for a moment. Then she quickly said, No need, the shop is almost done with work now. Ning Ning, you and Zaya Omo and Xyroxy can go eat. Oh dear, we're all family, Auntie. You don't need to do this. Mew Baining turned her gaze to Mew Zaya Omo. Momo, why don't you stay here and help out? Are there any staff or clothing stores here? Oh, yes. To be honest, Mew Zaya Omo was also quite surprised by Mew Baining's behavior. Ning Ning is so sensible. Mew Xyroxy said with a smile, Mom, there are several employees missing from the store today. You can have my brother help in the kitchen, and my sister-in-law and I will serve the customers outside. Why don't you go in and rest for a bit? Seeing how sensible her child was, the mother smiled. She didn't say anything more, she just nodded. Soon, Mew Zaya Omo led Mew Baining into the warehouse. The desk where he and Mew Xyroxy often did their homework is still here, and there are even some test papers they did before. This is where Xyroxy and I do our homework after school. While explaining, Mew Zaya Omo helped Mew Baining find a suitable work uniform. After leaving the room, Mew Baining changed into the new clothes, and they fit perfectly. They instantly transformed into employees of Muting You. Afterwards, Mew Xyroxy also changed her clothes. The two began serving customers, while Mew Zaya Omo went into the kitchen. There are 6 chefs in the kitchen, and they have a clear division of labor, so the food is served relatively quickly. Upon seeing Mew Zaya Omo enter, a chef named Lao Liu's eyes lit up. He has been working in the store for over 20 years, since he was about the same age as his father. Now in his 60s, he continues to hold fast to his post. Oh, Zaya Omo is back. Mew Zaya Omo nodded. The shop must be pretty busy today. I'll come and help out. Uncle Liu smiled. He had just seen Mew Baining through the kitchen window as well. So she asked, I heard from your dad that you have a girlfriend. So when are you going to invite me to your wedding? It'll be here soon. Mew Zaya almost scratched her head. Within 2 years. Okay, I'll be waiting. His eyes were full of love when he looked at Mew Zaya Omo. The main reason is that he watched Mew Zaya Omo grow up. I witnessed his father's wedding, and now I'm about to see him get married. It has to be said, time waits for no one, it really flies. Chapter 190 will be having a baby soon. That's wonderful news. Next, Mew Zaya Omo chatted with the chef in the kitchen while preparing the fish. The mentors were very curious about Mew Zaya Omo's university life over the past 6 months, and how she managed to attract a university professor. About the university professor thing, it was his dad who told him. Mew Zaya Omo also shared a brief summary. In short, his presence brought a lot of fun to the entire kitchen. The plaza closes at 10 p.m., and after working until 9:30 p.m., the store stops welcoming customers. This also gave Mew Zaya Omo, Mew Xyroxy, Mew Baining's mother, and others time to eat. Because Mew Zaya Omo brought Mew Baining along today, they had a last-minute get-together. The purpose is to let everyone get to know Mew Baining. They specially prepared all the grilled fish from the restaurant in various flavors. Then we made some barbecue and a few fruit platters, and ate and chatted with everyone. And so the shop didn't close until 11 p.m. The mall was completely empty, but my dad was allowed to do so because he knew the mall's management. After taking the elevator down, Mom was stunned when she saw Mew Zaya Omo's car. Momo, did you come in your dad's RS7? Yes. Mew Zaya Omo didn't take it seriously at all, at which point his mother rolled her eyes at him. My goodness, this car can't be driven on the road, Momo. Upon hearing this, Mew Zaya Omo was a little confused. What the heck? Another car that can't be driven on the road. Mom explained, your dad has already modified this car. He changed everything from the engine to the turbocharger, the wheels, tires, and the body color. Mew Zaya Omo was speechless. Wow, Dad's really into cars. What should we do then? Take a taxi back. There have been a lot of vehicle checks at night lately. If the traffic police stop you, they'll probably impound your car. Have your dad call a tow truck another day and have it towed back. And so they hitched a ride back together. Upon arriving at the entrance of the residential area, Mew Baining grabbed Mew Zaya Omo and suggested that they take a walk around. Although it was a bit cold, he did not refuse. Mew Xyroxy and her mother went upstairs ahead of time, while Mew Baining's expression was not very pleasant. Noticing her unusual mood, he helped her tuck the hair in front of her ears behind her ears. Then he asked, What's wrong, Ning Ning? It's so late, why don't you want to go home? Mew Baining hesitated for a moment, then said, Momo, I haven't had my period. Um. Hearing this, he took a deep breath. Indeed, Mu Baning's period comes at the beginning of every month. It's number 1, 2, or 3. Sometimes it comes a few days in advance. There are warning signs. Upon hearing her words, Mu-Zai-Omo's first thought was whether there had been a delay. Before Mu-Zai-Omo could ask any further questions, Mu Baning continued. And recently, I've been dry heaving more and more often. Mu-Zai-Omo's eyelids twitched. He looked at Mu Baning's stomach and said, "This. We used the protection your dad gave us when we played the game last time." Mu Baning nodded. "Yes, that's why I'm also puzzled. Come with me to buy a pregnancy test." "Okay." Most of the small pharmacies in the provincial capital were open. Mu-Zai-Omo took Mu Baning for a walk around and quickly bought some pregnancy test strips. Of course, Mu-Zai-Omo was extremely flustered after hearing this news. He's just a freshman in college. He's still basically a kid. I'm still a child myself. How could I possibly be ready to be a father? Although he quite likes children, premarital pregnancy is very common nowadays, but Mu-Zai-Omo doesn't want it to happen to her. If she is really pregnant. Suddenly, Mu-Zai-Omo felt her mind go completely blank. After returning home, Mu Baning immediately used a pregnancy test. After immersing the pointed end in the water for 5 seconds, Mu Baning took the pregnancy test strip out. Then the two of them stared intently at the pregnancy test strip. Meanwhile, as time went on, a very faint red line appeared on the pregnancy test strip. The other red line is very dark, which means, got it. Of course, since the red line isn't very deep, this thing might have some error. Mu Baning's expression immediately soured upon seeing the result. She said in a very low voice, "M.O., I'm not pregnant, am I?" "His Tilda." Mu-Zai-Omo gasped. "That shouldn't be the case. We clearly took precautions back then." "Could it be?" Mu-Zai-Omo turned her gaze to the suitcase beside her. The thing he used last time was given to him by Mu Baning's father, Mu Changle. I didn't think much about it at the time, and just used it without really understanding what was going on. He quickly opened his suitcase, and soon found the one that Mu Changle had given him last time. That's right, we didn't finish using it all. Upon closer inspection, I discovered, damn it, that there was a tiny, tiny pinhole in the middle of this thing. No wonder. It actually worked. It hit the target on the first try. Noticing that Mu-Zai-Omo's expression was unusual, Mu Baning looked up and stared at him expectantly. Mu-Zai-Omo took a deep breath and came to Mu Baning's side. Then he said, "Ning this. Must be thanks to your father." Mu Baning felt her mind go blank and didn't understand what Mu-Zai-Omo meant for a moment. So Mu-Zai-Omo explained it to him. After hearing this, Mu Baning's expression was as ugly as if she had swallowed 2 flies. Her dad had always said he wanted to hold the baby, but she never expected him to actually do it. Mu Baning was speechless. Mu-Zai-Omo knew that Mu Baning needed comforting at this moment. She quickly pulled Mu Baning into her arms and whispered, "It's okay, Ning, it's okay if you're pregnant. We're going to have a baby soon, which is great news." Mu Baning had many concerns, mainly about her career. "Once my belly gets big, I can't work anymore and my career and everything else." At this moment, Mu-Zai-Omo had already seen the worry in Mu Baning's heart. "But what? I'll take care of earning money to support the family from now on. Once the baby is a little older, we'll bring our parents to live with us so they can take care of the baby together." Mu Baning nodded quietly. "I'll take care of things at the Welsh restaurant. As for my position at school, I'll just ask for leave. I have a good relationship with Principal Deng Shiki, so I can handle this. P.S. This story won't be finished anytime soon. Xiaming wants to write 1,000,000 words. I'll write more about my married life and having a baby, hee. Chapter 191, Going to the hospital for a physical examination. Is it really possible? After hearing Mu-Zai-Omo's words, Mu Baning stared at him expectantly. It has to be said that having a powerful network of connections can be a real crime. Any problem can be resolved smoothly. Seeing Mu Baning's expression, Mu-Zai-Omo nodded. "Of course it's possible. My relationship with Deng Shiki is already quite good, so this is a small matter for him." Mu Baning nodded. Actually, for her, losing her job as a university counselor wouldn't be a big deal. Anyway, now that she has the Welsh restaurant, her plans for the future are actually quite long-term. Her restaurant has already achieved a great deal and is quite impressive. Everyone has ambitions, and Mu Baning is no exception. At this moment, she has already planned to expand her store. After all, the customers in the Magic Science University area are mostly college students. She wants to open a shop in a more upscale location. Shanghai is a city with many wealthy people. There are too many. The main reason is that the taste and quality of Western food are so good. It's bound to be a huge hit. However, we're still facing some funding issues, so we'll discuss it later. At this moment, Mu Baining turned her gaze to Mu Xiaomo. She murmured then, "Come with me to the hospital tomorrow. If I'm really pregnant, let's tell our parents." She didn't intend to hide it from her parents, and Mu Xiaomo nodded in agreement. "Okay, then let's go to bed early tonight and get up early tomorrow. I'll go to the hospital with you." "Okay, Tilda." She nodded obediently, and soon the two of them went to bed. Mu Baining quickly fell asleep in Mu Xiaomo's embrace. The two of them got up early the next morning. When I got dressed and went outside, I ran into my mom in the living room. "Huh, Momo Ningning, where are you guys going?" My mom was cooking when she heard two people's footsteps and peeked out of the kitchen. Upon hearing this, Mu Xiaomo said softly, "Something has suddenly come up. We'll go out for a bit and be right back." My mom didn't think much of it and nodded. "Okay, remember to buy some breakfast outside." "Okay, Tilda." Upon arriving at the front door, Mu Xiaomo glanced at it and immediately took his father's car keys. It's a Lexus sedan. His dad drives it often, so there's no need to worry about whether it's roadworthy. Upon arriving at the underground parking garage, Mu Xiaomo immediately spotted his father's car. Seeing this, Mu Baining couldn't help but ask, "Momo, do you have that many cars?" "The car in front of me is a Lexus LS, which costs over 1 million yuan after taxes and fees." He nodded and hummed in agreement. "Yeah, my dad has loved playing with cars since I was little. It's normal. I also want to train my son to be a race car driver in the future." Mu Baining was speechless. She asked, "What if it's a girl in her belly?" "That would be even better." Mu Xiaomo almost smiled smugly and then said, "If it's a daughter, then teach her music, chess, calligraphy, and painting, and cultivate her into an artistic genius just like me." Upon hearing this, Mu Baining rolled her eyes. "Artistic genius? Heba." Mu Baining smiled and said, "So Momo is that narcissistic? What if she doesn't like these things? After all, I'm part of the genes, cough cough, so I should have some musical talent, right?" Upon hearing this, Mu Baining suddenly remembered the song Mu Xiaomo had sung before. Guests and learn to meow, and Mu Xiaomo's guitar skills, which he had previously demonstrated. With this in mind, Mu Xiaomo really is someone who is proficient in all the arts, including music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. To be honest, at this moment, Mu Baining also hoped that her daughter could be as talented as her husband. "Then we'll see how you raise your daughter." At this moment, Mu Baining was already sitting in the passenger seat. After fastening her seatbelt, Mu Baining was taken aback. She turned to look at Mu Xiaomo, then said, "Momo, it seems you really like daughters." Anything is fine." He started the car and spoke as he drove. After all, for a man, a daughter is like a warm, comforting cotton-padded jacket. Of course, a son would be good too. If it were a son, I would make him exercise from a young age, just like my dad disciplined me. Haha, sure, sure. At this moment, Mu Baining thought of another question and asked, "By the way, do you raise your son frugally and your daughter lavishly?" Upon hearing Mu Baining ask this question, Mu Xiaomo suddenly thought of his childhood. His father was a typical example of raising sons frugally and daughters lavishly. Otherwise, I wouldn't give him 2,500 yuan a month for living expenses. He shook his head. "I feel that boys don't need to be raised in poverty. Of course, we need to cultivate his character from a young age and not let him spend money recklessly. I know how to raise my own child. In short, my son will definitely be more outstanding than me in the future." Hearing Mu Xiaomo's words, Mu Baining felt a warmth in her heart. "That's quite well said." Then Mu Xiaomo and Mu Baining had a long chat. At the same time, it was heading towards Xinhaicheng Maternity Hospital. The hospital wasn't far from here, and they entered the maternity hospital in less than 20 minutes. The initial checkup for pregnant women is relatively simple. Of course, in case she has any diseases, Mu Xiaomo had everything that could be checked done. Blood type, coagulation function, serum ions, fasting blood glucose, urinalysis, liver function, kidney function, hepatitis virus, AIDS, syphilis, etc. are all tested one by one. Mu Xiaomo and Mu Baining spent the entire morning running around the hospital. Of course, neither of them found it tiring. We were busy until 11:30 p.m. before all the inspections were finally finished. Most tests can produce results immediately, but 3D color ultrasound and ultrasound results take until 3:30 p.m. So they decided to go out and find a restaurant to eat something and rest for a while. There were quite a few people at the entrance of the maternity hospital at that time. Many men who looked to be in their 20s or 30s had smiles on their faces, and quite a few were even holding newborns who had just been discharged from the hospital. Seeing this scene, Mu was honestly a little envious. After noticing his gaze, Mu couldn't help but ask, "Are you envious seeing other people holding their children?" A little." Mu nodded and continued, "All right, let's not talk about this anymore. Our baby will be born in 10 months. Snort. Mu snorted. This happened somewhat suddenly, but she had no choice but to face it bravely. Aborting one's own child, that's absolutely impossible. At this point, she was ready to become a mother. Mu looked around and said, "Ning Ning, there's a fast food restaurant over there. Let's grab something quick, then book a room for a few hours and head back to the hospital this afternoon to get the results." Chapter 192. Hahaha, great. I'll have a grandson to hold now. Mu had no objection to Mu statement, and the two quickly finished their meal. At this time, Mu physical condition was very good, but in Mu eyes, she was already pregnant, so she needed to be carefully taken care of. At 3:30 p.m., the two checked out of the room and returned to the hospital. After receiving all the results, the two registered for an appointment with a specialist, and after waiting a short while, entered the room. The room wasn't very big, only a dozen square meters. At that moment, a doctor who looked to be in his 30s was sitting there, wearing a white coat. "Hello, doctor." She looked really young, and she was wearing light makeup. Upon hearing Mu voice, she raised her head, pointed to the seats next to her, and said, "Please sit down, both of you." Mu sat down first, and Mu sat down next to her. She handed all her physical examination results to the doctor and began to look at them carefully. About 5 or 6 minutes later, the doctor put down what he was holding. Then he turned his gaze to Mu and said with a smile, "Congratulations. The 3D ultrasound shows that you are indeed pregnant, and your physical condition is exceptionally good, with all your values within the normal range." Hearing this, Mu was overjoyed and couldn't help but ask, "Then, doctor, is my wife carrying one or twins?" The doctor shook his head. "The pregnancy is still in its early stages, so it's not obvious yet. You can come back for a checkup in 2 months, then we'll be able to tell how many babies you're carrying." "I see." Mu nodded, feeling very happy upon hearing this. "It's definitely a good thing that Mu is in good health." The doctor continued, "Because it's early pregnancy, you need to, and you should also take folic acid supplements. Pregnant women should pay attention to their diet, get enough rest, avoid excessive stress, and have regular checkups." The doctor kept talking, listing many things to pay attention to during pregnancy. Mu and Mu nodded in agreement. Of course, they weren't being perfunctory. After all, the doctor was doing it for their own good. After a 20-minute negotiation, the conversation finally came to an end. Just as Mu and Mu were about to leave, Mu was called back again. "Wait a minute, young man." He turned his head curiously, and at the same time, the doctor said, "Your physical examination today is quite comprehensive. We have an activity here that allows you to experience what it feels like to give birth for free." Hearing this, Mu was completely bewildered. Experience the feeling of giving birth. Before he could ask, the doctor continued, "It's a childbirth simulation device." Upon hearing this, Mu heart suddenly skipped a beat, because he had heard of this thing. Previously, I often saw videos on Douyin of a woman taking her boyfriend to experience a childbirth simulator. Then when it's the guy's turn to experience it, they'll say to just upgrade it to the maximum level. But the truth is, level 5 or 6 will cause them to scream in pain. Mu was a little flustered. His dad told him that when he was in his 20s, his mom dragged him to try this thing. The pain he was in at the time was indescribable. Just as Mu was wondering how to respond to the doctor's words, Mu spoke, "No need, my husband doesn't need to do that. Thank you for your kindness." With that, Mu pulled Mu out of the room. After leaving, Mu took a deep breath. He focused his gaze on Mu cheek and then asked, "Thank you, my wife, for saving my life." Buff. Mu couldn't help but smile. "You're welcome. I saw a lot of girlfriends online bringing their boyfriends to experience the pain of childbirth. I don't want you to suffer like that, but it doesn't really matter. As long as you can love me the same way you love me now, that's enough." At this moment, Mu held her hand tightly. Mu Baining is indeed a very sensible girl. He shook his head and said, I won't love you the same way I do now. Mu Baining suddenly stopped in her tracks. Musayomo chuckled and kissed her forehead. Silly girl, I will love you even more than I do now. You're carrying my baby, so I'm going to love you with double, no, triple the energy. HMPH, you scared me to death. Mu Baining playfully punched his chest with her little fist, and Musayomo smiled. All right, Ning Ning, you're the only one I'll ever love. By the way, don't tell anyone you're pregnant when you get home today. Upon hearing this, Mu Baining frowned and asked, Why? Grandpa and Grandma will be back soon. I want to wait until the new year to tell them. After all, this can be considered a double celebration. Hearing this, Mu Baining did not refuse. She nodded, Okay, but I plan to talk to my parents first. Okay, tell your dad about this first. Your dad did this so he could hold the baby, so he must be very happy to hear that you're pregnant. Snort. Mu Baining snorted again. Speechless and somewhat helpless. Her dad, too, how could he do something like that? Soon, Mu Ziomo and Mu Baining returned to the underground parking garage. Mu Baining also dialed her father, Mu Changlei's, phone number. When she arrived in Xinhai, she had already spoken to Mu Changlei once on the phone. This was the second time. Mu Baining turned on the speakerphone, and soon, Mu Changlei's voice came through the phone. Hey, my darling daughter, how are you doing at Momo's house? It's fine. Mu Baining said softly, then continued, Dad, you. At this moment, Mu Baining really wanted to give her father a good talking to. However, she was too embarrassed to do it in front of Mu Zia-Omo. Mu Baining sighed, then said, Dad, I have some good news to tell you. Mu Changlei's tone was full of curiosity. Good news, haha, what good news? You'll have to wait for your grandfather. At this point, the voice on the other end of the phone suddenly stopped. Mu Baining couldn't help but ask, Dad, are you still there? What's wrong? More than 20 seconds later, Mu Changlei's voice finally came through. No wonder Ningning's tone was off just now. It turns out she's pregnant. Really, really? Mu Changlei couldn't help but ask. Mu Baining hummed in agreement. It's all thanks to you, Dad. Momo and I came to the hospital for a checkup today. I'll send you the results later. Great, haha, great. I'll have a grandson to hold now. P.S. Xiaming is asking for flowers online. A 5-star review would be greatly appreciated. Chapter 193, Mu Zia-Omo has really good taste. Hearing Mu Changlei's happy voice, Mu Zia-Omo smiled helplessly. Mu Baining continued, Dad, I'll go back after the new year and spend time with you then. Haha, okay. I believe Momo can take good care of you. Then I'll hang up now. I'll call your mom and tell her the good news. Beep, beep, beep. Mu Changlei hung up the phone quickly. Mu Zia-Omo could imagine how happy he was. Mu Baining turned her gaze to Mu Zia-Omo. Where should we put these inspection records? Just take it upstairs later. He explained, at this time Mom is probably busy at the store again and Dad is definitely not home either. Mu Xyroxy, you can just ignore her. She probably isn't home either. We can just leave her somewhere out of the way. Okay, Tilda. Mu Baining nodded, and Mu Zia-Omo didn't hesitate. She drove off from the garage and went home. Over the next few days, Mu Zia-Omo would occasionally go out for a stroll or help out at the store. Then it's time to buy some New Year's goods. Although Mu Baining is pregnant, she is still in the early stages and has no discomfort in her daily life. I just didn't let her do any strenuous exercise. Time flies, and before we knew it, it was time for Grandpa and Grandma to return from abroad. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Mu Zia-Omo's father drove him, Mu Baining and Mu Xyroxy into an Alphard, heading towards the airport. After seeing her father navigate to Xinhai Airport, Mu Zia-Omo asked, Dad, didn't you say you got a private jet? How do I get to the airport? Dad's face darkened. He said, You believe me when I'm bragging. And Mu Zia-Omo was speechless. Damn, he thought his dad actually owned a private jet. You're still too naive. Mu Baining and Mu Xyroxy chatted happily behind them, with Mu Xyroxy taking out her phone and opening the photo album. This is a photo of Mu Zia-Omo when she was a child, playing with firecrackers and blowing up cow dung in the countryside. She said with a grin, Sister-in-law, look, this photo is from when we were kids. We went to Grandma's house for Chinese New Year and then he used firecrackers to blow up cow dung. It splashed all over other people. Upon hearing this, Mu Zia-Omo felt an overwhelming urge to grab a 2-meter-long machete and stab Mu Xyroxy. This girl, why does she say everything? Mu Baining is definitely very interested in Mu Zia-Omo's childhood. Looking at Mu Zia-Omo's mischievous face on her phone, Mu Baining chuckled. Seeing a photo of Mu Ziomo crying with lots of snot bubbles in her nose, she couldn't help but ask, "Why is Mu Ziomo crying in this picture?" Mu Zioxy replied, "This is a picture of Dad hitting him with a feather duster after we finished frying the cow dung." Edohata, Zyro Zai. Mu Ziomo turned her head and glared at her fiercely. "Why do you let your sister-in-law see everything? Give the phone back to Dad right now." "Don't want." Mu Zioxy shook her head heavily and continued, "Sister-in-law, let me tell you, my brother was very naughty when he was a child. He often went to the river with his friends. Once, he even peeked at Wangaria next door taking a bath." Mu Ziomo's face darkened. "Depend on. He was just a child who didn't know any better, and he often played with his childhood friend Kshu and Taudao. During summer vacation, he often went to the countryside to play in the river, and some interesting things would always happen. Zyro-Zai, don't forget that I also have dirt on you on my phone. Next time I'll show it to Zyro-Yi and make you look bad too." Upon hearing this, Mu Zyroxy was completely dumbfounded. "Brother, you haven't deleted those photos yet. Didn't you promise me you'd delete it?" And so Mu Ziomo and Mu Zyroxy argued, and before long the car had arrived at the airport. After getting off the bus, Dad looked at the black submariner on his wrist and said, "Your grandparents' plane will land in 30 minutes. Let's wait for them at the airport exit." Soon, the four of them headed towards exit B of the airport. Because the Lunar New Year is approaching, there are a lot of people waiting for their relatives at the exit. Seeing so many people around, Mu Zyroxy immediately lost her energy. She leaned on the airport railing, gazing at the terminal across the street. So boring. She looked helpless. Mu Ziomo also disliked crowded places. "There's no other way. I can only do it." Dad, on the other hand, simply squatted down in a corner and started scrolling through Douyin, TikTok. Finally, after about half an hour, the airport broadcast announced that Grandpa and Grandma's plane was about to land. "Dear passengers, Malaysia Airlines is about to land. They're here, they're here." Upon hearing the airport announcement, Mu Zyroxy immediately perked up. She raised her head and kept her gaze fixed on the elevator not far away. "Brother, Grandpa, and Grandma will be back soon." He nodded. "When Grandpa and Grandma come later, Zyroxy, don't get so excited you'll fly away." "No, it won't." Mu Zyroxy shook her head. "Nowadays, grandparents are very close to their grandchildren, and they have always been very good to them since they were little. I bet this girl will be so happy she'll be flying with joy." Another 10 minutes or so passed. Mu Zyroxy and Mu Baining were staring at their phone screens. At that moment, his grandparents came over, each pulling a suitcase. Grandma was wearing a floral cotton padded jacket and gold-rimmed glasses. The first thing she saw when she stepped out of the elevator was Mu Ziomo. Mu Ziomo turned her head to look at Mu Zyroxy, rolled her eyes, and said, "Zyroxy, look who's here." Upon hearing his voice, Mu Zyroxy instinctively looked behind the railing. Then I was overjoyed. "Grandpa and Grandma, you're back." She threw down her phone and rushed into her grandfather's arms. Grandpa instinctively loosened his grip on the suitcase and bent down slightly. He suddenly picked her up in one swift motion. When she was little, her grandfather would hold her like this. At this point, the fact that he could still pick her up is, Grandpa is in very good health. Furthermore, Mu Zyroxy is really too ordinary. There were just too many people around, and Mu Zyroxy was already an adult, so Grandpa quickly put her down. Then Mu Zyroxy took her grandfather's hand and introduced them. "Grandpa, look, this is my sister-in-law, my brother's wife." Upon hearing Zyroxy's words, both her grandparents looked up. They turned their attention to Mu Baining. Mu Baining gave an awkward smile, waved to her grandparents, and looked somewhat shy. Because the temperament displayed by Mu Ziomo's grandparents was just like that of a young lady. There is a quality that cannot be described in words. "Hello, Grandpa and Grandma." "Oh, okay. Grandma's eyes lit up the moment she saw Mu Baining. I have to say, Mu Ziomo has a really good eye. Chapter 194, telling the family the good news of Ningning's pregnancy. Grandma walked straight to Mu Baining's side. Stroking her hand, Grandma asked with a smile, "Oh my granddaughter-in-law is so beautiful." "Oh, thank you, Grandma." Mu Baining felt a little embarrassed. She knew that her grandmother was being particularly warm and welcoming. "Your name is Ningning, right?" The silent professor. Mu Baining was taken aback. Why were they checking her household registration? She replied, "It was true before, but it's not anymore." "Oh, right. Grandma turned her gaze to Mu then laughed and said, "Now Momo's a university professor, ha ha ha." Mu leaned closer again. "Grandma, let's go home quickly. Tonight your granddaughter will cook for you herself." "Oh, really?" Grandma smiled. She'd never seen her cook at home before. "Ah, this." Mu paused, then secretly glanced at Mu Baining. "I need my sister-in-law and brother's help." Mu face darkened. "This is, damn it. I guess she'll just sit on the sofa and eat potato chips when she gets back." Hearing Mu voice, Mu Baining smiled and said, "Okay, little sister, I'll help you later. Hey, my sister-in-law is so nice, Tilda." Soon, amidst their laughter and chatter, they left the airport together. After getting on the bus, Grandpa and Grandma sat in the second row, while Mu Baining and Mu sat in the last row. This is a 7-seater MPV with a lot of space. After returning home, Mu consciously sat on the sofa. They took out Lay's potato chips, Zhijiang jelly, and some other snacks. I sat down with my grandparents. Mu was not surprised to see this. "This girl is always like this. Forget it, I guess I can't eat the food Mu made anyway." He shook his head, changed his clothes, and simply squeezed the apron around his waist. Then she said to her father, "Dad, I'll take care of dinner tonight. As for Xyroxy, there's no way she'll cook." Upon hearing this, Dad nodded. "Okay, I have some things to take care of at the company. I need to attend to a video conference. I'll be right back." Become. Dad quickly went into the bedroom and locked the door from the inside. At this moment, Mu Baining walked to his side. "Let me help you too." This. He didn't agree immediately. "The kitchen fumes are heavy and will affect our baby's development, so let's forget about it." Upon hearing this, Mu Baining's expression became somewhat complicated. But what's more often seen on their faces is a smile. Indeed, she discovered that Mu was a person who paid great attention to details. Mu Baining also knew that inhaling a lot of cooking fumes would affect the development of the baby in her belly, so she continued, "In that case, I can help you pick some vegetables outside." Mu could tell that she didn't want to be idle. While the two were talking, Grandma came over. "Oh, Momo Ningning, you don't need to cook today. Today, let my daughter-in-law try my cooking." The sudden appearance of the grandmother left both of them somewhat bewildered. Mu quickly said, "Grandma, cooking should be left to us young people. Don't interfere." Mu Baining, "Grandma, we can handle this. You should go and rest." No, I can do it today." "You really don't need Grandma." "I have to do it today, Momo. Your grandpa has always wanted to play chess with you. Go and keep him company." Mu was speechless. "My grandfather is a chess enthusiast and loves playing chess. When I have free time, I often go downstairs to play with the elderly men in the neighborhood. And his biggest rival is him." Actually, Mu didn't know how to play chess at first. Once, Grandpa kept losing a game of chess to an old man from downstairs in the neighborhood. Then Mu went on to play a match. He pulled out his phone from under the table and started a game against AI on nightmare difficulty. They knocked the old man on the other side completely unconscious. The human brain is generally no match for AI robots, of course. This only applies to those who are not professional-level seniors. After that, there was no stopping him. His grandfather would often pester him to play chess with him. Mu also studied it and found that chess is actually quite interesting. Because of this, his chess skills also improved rapidly. Unable to persuade her grandmother, Mu had no choice but to nod. "Well, Grandma, I'll go keep Grandpa company first. I'll leave the cooking tonight in your care." Go ahead, go ahead. When I was little, my parents were quite busy, so my grandma did the cooking. What's wrong with cooking a meal for your granddaughter-in-law now?" Mu had no choice but to take Mu Baining to find her grandfather, and then they found the chessboard. "Let's play chess." Neither Mu nor Mu Baining had ever played chess before. Although they knew the specific rules, they had never actually played a game. But they only have one rule: watch the game without speaking. Mu remained silent while playing chess with her grandfather. "General," Mu chuckled. With his improved skills, his grandfather was no longer a match for him. Grandpa's face immediately darkened when he realized he had been outmaneuvered. "Well done, you little brat. Your skills have improved again in just a few months, haven't they? I concede this round." Hey. Mu chuckled. "Grandpa, want to play one more round?" "Come." "Grandpa, how about I play a game for you?" Mu made a fuss, and upon hearing it, her grandfather nodded. "Okay, I've played chess so many times. Has Xyroxy learned it yet?" "Hee, I'm definitely no match for you, bro." Mu Zioxy was very confident in herself. She asked, the horse moves in a field, and the elephant moves in the sun, right? Mu Ziomo, why does this girl seem a bit dim-witted? Grandpa said, the horse moves in a sun shape, and the elephant moves in a field shape. It's all right, Grandpa will teach you later. Hee, Grandpa is so nice. Mu Zioxy nodded, and after putting all the chess pieces back in their places, the game began. Mu Zioxy is on the red team, so she should start first. She took the first step and fired the cannon. Mu Ziomo then left the army. After 3 minutes of competition, Mu Zioxy was completely defeated. Snap! At that moment, the door was opened. Oh, Dad, you're back. That's right, it was Mu Ziomo's mother who came back. They're back, they're back. Grandpa smiled, and at the same time, Grandma came out carrying a bowl. Dinner is served, everyone. Please wash your hands and get ready to eat. Come on, bro, dinner's ready. Upon hearing this, Mu Ziomo turned her gaze to Mu Baining. Ning Ning, take out the results of your last physical examination and tell your parents, grandparents, and other relatives. Mu Baining quickly entered the bedroom. Pregnancy is a big deal, and it's a good time to tell them today. The grandparents had always wanted to hold their great-grandchild, and this time, their wish came true. Chapter 195, Mom, you're going to hold the baby again. What's Ning Ning up to? Seeing Mu Baining run into the bedroom, Grandma couldn't help but ask, why would you run around while eating? Upon hearing this, Mu Ziomo replied, oh, she went to get something. Later. I have some good news to tell your grandma. Haha, what good news is it? Why are you being so mysterious? Grandma knew that Mu Ziomo would say something later, so she didn't think much of it. A moment later, Mu Baining came over with an inspection document. This document is the explanation that Mu Bei is pregnant. Of course, no one was paying attention to the documents in Mu Baining's hands at that moment. After handing the paper to Mu Ziomo folded it up and stuffed it into his pocket. Mu Baining was puzzled by this, and Mu Ziomo said, Ning Ning, go wash your hands first, I'll go call Dad. Okay, sure, Tilda. Mu Baining nodded and quickly went to the kitchen to help. Mu Ziomo then went to the bedroom door and gently knocked. Knock, knock, knock. Dad, dinner's ready. Okay, came her father's voice from inside. Without thinking much, Mu Ziomo went to wash her hands and eat. By this time, the table was already full of dishes. Grandma steamed a chicken, stewed a fish, cooked a few home-style dishes, and also made some crayfish. My mom bought it from outside. After washing their hands, the family was already seated at the dining table. Grandpa and Grandma looked at Mu Ziomo, and Mu Baining with kind smiles on their faces. At this moment, Mom asked, Momo, where's your dad? Hurry up and call him out. It's already been called. Mu Ziomo responded softly, while Mu Zioxy said, Mom, Dad is your husband, you should go and call him. Here we go. As soon as Mu Zioxy finished speaking, her father opened the bedroom door and couldn't help but say something after seeing the sumptuous dishes on the table. Wow, we ate such a lavish meal today. Dad quickly washed his hands and then came over with a big smile. After taking his seat, he sighed. Today is a day of triple celebration. Mu Zioxy couldn't help but ask, Dad, what are the 3 joys? The first joy is the Chinese New Year. The second piece of good news is that your brother brought his girlfriend home. The third joy is that our whole family can sit here and eat. Just then, Mu Ziomo interrupted his father. Then he said, Dad, actually, there's a fourth surprise. Upon hearing his words, everyone present wore expressions of curiosity. Dad said, I know, is it because you've become a university professor? That's something to be happy about. Mu Ziomo shook her head. Instead, he simply took out the test results from a few days ago from his pocket. Then he handed it directly to his father. He was still unaware of what had happened. After taking the paper from Mu Ziomo, he slowly unfolded it. My eyes were immediately drawn to the content above. My dad's eyes widened, and his mouth was agape in an O shape. Mu Zioxy, who was standing nearby, was extremely curious. Because she's the kindest person, Mu Zioxy couldn't help but ask, What's wrong, Dad? What does it say? Dad, why aren't you saying anything? The father ignored Mu Zioxy and instead focused his attention on Mu Ziomo. Momo, is this really true? He nodded. Dad, it has Ning Ning's name and the date of the medical examination on it. Do you think it could be fake? His Tilda. Dad stroked his pounding heart. This news was truly surreal for him. I just sent my son to university, and now another one is here. Although he especially loves children, it all happened too fast. Damn, this kid seems way more awesome than he was back then. Mu Chen, what did you see? Tell us so we can have a laugh too. Grandma was already at her breaking point, and Dad calmed down a bit after hearing what she said. Then he said, well, you might not believe it if I told you. But Dad turned his gaze to Grandma. Mom, you're going to hold the baby again. What? Actually, she had just realized that Mu Baining was pregnant. Of course, it was just a thought. Unexpectedly, it's actually true. She's about to hold her great-grandchild. Oh my, really, Ning Ning. Ouch, Tilda. Mu Baining became a little shy when she said this. She nodded rather shyly, then hummed in agreement. Musioxy. Some sign. Letter FF9F de letter FF9F Japanese letter. What the heck? Is my sister-in-law pregnant? So she has a niece. She's going to be an aunt. Musioxy grinned mischievously. Hee, when are you guys? Musiomo rolled her eyes at her. This girl speaks without thinking. Tusk. Mu Baining began. A few days ago, Momo and I went to the hospital for a checkup and... Haha, okay. Grandma quickly put some food into her bowl. Ning Ning, you need to supplement your nutrition more now that you're pregnant. Don't worry, I'll go buy you some pregnancy supplements tomorrow, haha. Grandma also hopes to see the children again, so that she can have their company in her old age. Mu Baining felt a little embarrassed after hearing this. Oh, Grandma, there's no need. I'm only a little over 10 days pregnant. You don't really need to care about me so much. No. Grandma shook her head. Why is Mu Chen so smart? When Tang Tang mom was pregnant, I found her some prenatal education. That's why we have such smart kids like Zyro Mo and Zyro Zai now. Mu Zyoma was speechless. Goodness, Grandma even brought up the topic of prenatal education. Grandma did indeed hire someone to provide prenatal education at that time. Maybe my amazing abilities have something to do with prenatal education. Among the crowd, the quietest person was none other than my mother. Seeing that no one spoke, Mom instructed, Momo, pregnant women are very weak during pregnancy, so you must take good care of Ning Ning. Yes, Mom, don't worry. Muzaya Omo nodded. Indeed, pregnant women are prone to depression, as they watch their bellies grow bigger during pregnancy. They especially need someone to take care of them at this time. Come on, let's eat. After a moment of joy, everyone picked up their chopsticks. Then the family quickly started eating. The atmosphere at Mu Ziomo's home was really wonderful. Even Mu Baining felt that his family was incredibly happy. Ning Ning, drink more fish soup. It's good for the baby in your belly. Yes, sister-in-law, have a chicken leg. Zai, do you want some sweet and sour pork? I'm not eating anymore. Here comes the little flying stick. Reader, author, why can you send voice messages? Chapter 196. My sister-in-law's red envelope was noticeably thicker than mine. Next, they ate, drank, and had fun together. Because tomorrow is Lunar New Year's Eve, according to local custom, we need to eat dumplings and put coins inside them. Anyone who manages to eat a coin will have abundant wealth in the new year. However, Muzai Omo could never forget the new year when he was 5 years old. That year, my parents had a sudden inspiration and put coins in the dumplings. Muzai was so greedy that she ate too much and broke her front tooth while eating dumplings. Fortunately, it was a baby tooth, and it grew in a few years later. Otherwise, she would. Jarvis, open your front teeth. The following day was New Year's Eve. In the afternoon, Muzai Omo, Mu Baining, and Muzai put up couplets everywhere. Although there were fewer couplets posted upstairs, they still couldn't stay idle and put up some beautiful couplets on the living room wall. Downstairs, many children are setting off firecrackers shaped like black spiders. Muzai was leaning on the railing of the connecting corridor, looking down. Muzai Omo went over and flicked her head, saying seriously, Zai, stop playing and go back inside to make dumplings. Oh. Muzai glared at him fiercely. He walked into the house reluctantly. Inside the house, Mom and Grandma have already prepared the meat filling for the dumplings. Because the grandparents are quite old, they didn't put coins in the dumplings. Today's dumplings are made with 3 kinds of seafood: pork, scallions, and chives. Mu Baining likes to eat seafood, her parents like to eat chives, and Mu Zyroxy likes to eat pork and scallions. To satisfy everyone's tastes, it has to be separated. Mu Omo and her father's task was also very simple. It's just cooking. The New Year's Eve dinner is mainly characterized by its abundance. Recently, they also bought a lot of seasonings for delicious dishes. Soon, Mu Mu Baining, Grandma, and Mom started making dumplings together. This method is extremely efficient. Of course, Mu wrapping is the slowest and also the ugliest. Mu Omo and her father were busy in the kitchen, and about half an hour later the dumplings were cooked. Living room. Thump. While her grandparents were sitting on the sofa watching TV, Mu came over and kowtowed. Happy New Year, Grandpa. Wishing you prosperity and good fortune. Here's your red envelope. Then she extended her fair hand. Grandpa and Grandma were used to this, because she does this every year. This time, Grandma didn't take out the red envelope immediately. Instead, she said with a hint of helplessness, Zai, look, your sister-in-law is watching you. You're so old, why do you still want a red envelope? Mu Zioxy pouted. Grandma, I'm just a 230-month-old baby. What's wrong with asking for a red envelope? Oh, yes, a 230-month-old baby. Grandma stepped forward, picked up Mu Zioxy, and gently patted her back. Go call your brother and give him the red envelope, too. Okay, Grandma Tilda. Mu Zioxy turned her head and found Mu Baining looking at her. I just stood there in the living room watching her kneel down, looking like a money grubber. Noticing Mu Baining's gaze, Mu Zioxy chuckled. Sister-in-law, Grandma has prepared a red envelope. Hurry up and kowtow. After saying that, she dashed into the kitchen. He hugged Mu Omo directly from behind. Who is it? Mu Omo recognized Mu Zioxy's footsteps and called out. At the same time, Mu Zioxy said, Brother, Grandma is going to give us red envelopes. Hurry up and kowtow. Do you think I'm as greedy as you? He rolled his eyes and then said, You're all grown up now, Zai, you go get it, I don't want it. Hey, brother, come quick. She pouted and said, You know Grandma's personality. If you don't go, she definitely won't give it to me. Yes. Grandpa and Grandma always give out red envelopes together every year when we receive them. The brother and sister have been receiving this for 18 years. This is the 19th year. Mu Omo quickly put down the spatula she was holding. Then, after washing her hands, she was pulled outside by Mu Zioxy. Unlike in previous years, 3 people received red envelopes this year. And Mu Baining. Although Mu Baining is 3 years older than Mu Omo, in her grandmother's eyes, she is still a child. Everyone in the Mu family should receive a red envelope. Grandma, my brother has arrived. Brother, hurry up and kowtow to Grandma. Before being bound to the system, Mu Omo was an absolute poor guy. His grandparents give him 10,000 to 20,000 yuan in lucky money every year, so he used to be very excited. But this year he was bound to the system, so now he's a complete tycoon. Why would you care about 20,000 yuan? You can kowtow, I won't. Elder brothers. She grabbed Mu Omo's clothes and said in a coquettish voice, I'm begging you. All right. Grandma waved her hand and took out 3 large red envelopes. Then he handed one to Mu Zioxy. He then handed one to Mu Omo. She handed the thickest one to Mu Baining. Mu Baining's expression was somewhat complicated. She felt something was off. Mu Zioxy glanced at the red envelope in her hand, then at her sister-in-law's, and finally at her brother's. She noticed that her sister-in-law's red envelope was thicker than hers and her brother's. Mu Zioxy pouted. Grandma, are you being a little biased? Grandma was slightly taken aback and asked, Zai, why is Grandma being biased? My sister-in-law's red envelope was obviously thicker than mine and my brother's. Isn't that favoritism? At this moment, Grandpa smiled, looked at the money-grubbing Mu Zioxy and explained, Because your sister-in-law is pregnant. It includes one of the babies inside the belly. Mu Zioxy was speechless. This works. The baby hasn't even been born yet, and I'm already receiving red envelopes. Seeing this, Mu Omo spoke up. Zai, hurry up and save more money. When your sister-in-law's baby is born next year, you, as her aunt, will have to give her a red envelope. Upon hearing this, Mu Zioxy was taken aback. Am I going to give my baby a red envelope next year? Yes. He nodded, otherwise what? Mu Omo continued. You can also get married and have children soon, so I can give my nephew a red envelope too. Mu Zioxy blushed. I'm a long way from getting married. I still have to wait for my little Yi to finish college, Omega. Tilda. Mu Omo let out a soft and then said, After dinner, your Zio, you will come to our neighborhood. You'd better dress up nicely later, okay? Really? Mu Zioxy was taken aback, then took Mu Baining's hand and ran into her bedroom. Sister-in-law, can you help me decide which dress looks best on me? Chapter 197, leaving some time for just the 2 of them for Zioxy. Zai, it's winter. If you wear a skirt now, you'll definitely get rheumatism later. None of your business, HMPH. Mu Zioxy rolled her eyes and turned her head away with a whoosh. Then he slammed the door shut. Looking at Mu Zioxy's expression, Mu Zio almost shrugged. This girl is truly uncontrollable. Without much thought, he put the red envelope his grandparents gave him into his bedroom and went back to the kitchen to continue cooking. In Mu Zioxy's bedroom, creak tilde, she opened her wardrobe with a creak. What comes into view is a variety of skirts. Her bedroom was large, and there were wardrobes or clothes racks all around the bed. As a girl, I can lack many things, but I can't lack beautiful clothes. Mu Baining was somewhat bewildered when she saw the dazzling array of clothes inside. Good heavens, how come there are so many clothes? This, I doubt I could wear it all in a year. Seeing Mu Baining's surprised expression, Mu Zioxy chuckled. She stared at Mu Baining and said with a smile, "Hee, sister-in-law will be seeing Zioi soon. Can you help me pick out an outfit?" Mu Baining was taken aback. The plaid skirts in the wardrobe come in various colors. Red, yellow, blue, green, cyan, indigo, violet. They come in every color imaginable. At first glance, it's a bit dazzling. Seeing Mu Zioxy staring at her expectantly, Mu Baining was completely bewildered. She said, it's Chinese New Year now, why don't you wear red? Okay, tilde. Mu Zioxy nodded and took out a plaid skirt called Hawthorn Tree. Then at Mu Baining's suggestion, she chose a cream-colored sweater. Wearing a skirt and a sweater, Mu Zioxy also added a scarf. She smugly twirled around Mu Baining and asked, "So, sister-in-law, do you think Zio you will like you when he sees you like this later?" "Of course I'll like it." Without thinking, Mu Baining blurted out those words, and seeing her smiling face, she added another comment. "If I were a boy, I would definitely be attracted to Zioxy too. Sister-in-law, why don't you become my wife? Don't stay with my brother anymore." Omega, Japanese letter. Mu Zioxy usually enjoys reading BL novels, so it's not unreasonable for her to say such a thing. Of course, she was just joking. Upon hearing this, Mu Baining asked, "Are you sure your brother won't spank you?" "No way." Your sister-in-law is giving you a little red flower." Soon, Mu Zioxy was in the bedroom, trying on various clothes with Mu Baining. They actually treated Mu Baining like a Barbie doll. More than 40 minutes later, Mu Ziomo knocked on her bedroom door. "Knock, knock, knock. Ladies, stop playing inside and get ready for dinner." Mu Ziomo directly addressed the two of them as young ladies, and at the same time, Mu Zioxy's voice came from inside the room. "We understand you may leave now, sir." Mu Ziomo, who was outside, turned pale upon hearing this. Why is Mu Zioxy so mischievous? Without giving it much thought, he returned to the dining table. A short while later, Mu Baining and Mu Zioxy came out together. Mu Zioxy completely ignored the food on the table and started showing off to her mother. "Mom, don't I look especially pretty today?" "All right, stop being so vain." Seeing this, the father said, "What's wrong with my daughter being a little vain? She's so beautiful because she inherited my genes." "Grandpa, it's clearly mine." "Buff, why are these two, father and son, arguing?" Seeing this, Grandma said, "This has something to do with me in some way too." Grandma joined in too. He and Mu Baining watched the play while eating, and the Spring Festival Gala began at that time. The Spring Festival Gala programs in recent years have been rather disappointing, but the whole family still gathers around the TV to watch the gala while having New Year's Eve dinner. Time flies. Before we knew it, it was 8 o'clock in the evening. The New Year's Eve dinner has ended ahead of schedule. At this moment, Mu Zioxy ran into the bedroom and put on a beautiful makeup. After coming out, she looked at him expectantly and said, "Brother, Zio, you said he's already downstairs. Your good friend Xuan Tao Tao and his sister Xuan Wen are here too. Let's go out and play with him." "Well," upon hearing this, Mu Ziomo turned her gaze to Mu Baining. "Ning Ning, do you want to come along?" At this moment, Mu Baining shook her head. "I won't go. They're all your friends and I don't know them." That works too. There are quite a few people below, so it's really inconvenient to bring Mu Baining along." Mu Zioxy came over with a grin. "Mom, Dad, Grandpa, Grandma, sister-in-law, then I'll go downstairs with my brother to play for a while. Come back soon." "Don't worry." Soon, Mu Ziomo led Mu Zioxy away from home. "Go see their friends. They're quite an interesting bunch." Xuan Tao Tao and Xuan Wenwen were his high school classmates, and their father was named Xuan Tiansheng. That's right, the combination of Zhen and Tianyi plus Sheng makes Beast. He's been laughing at that name for years. "I can't help but laugh every time I think about it. How could someone give their child such a name?" Before she knew it, Mu Ziomo had arrived on the first floor. At that moment, 3 people were waiting for him at the door. They are Zio Zioi, Xuan Taotao, and Xuan Wenwen. Little Ye, did you buy your sister milk tea? Upon seeing Zio Zioi, Mu Xiroxy immediately ran over to him. I brought it for you, sis. As he spoke, he quickly handed over a cup of pink milk tea. It's from the Yidiandian brand. Mu Ziomo was taken aback. This Mu Xiroxy is truly something else. Diane isn't far from here, yet she made someone travel so far to buy milk tea. What a dog! Old Xuan. Mu Ziomo called out and turned her gaze to Xuan Taotao. Brother Mu, I brought you one too. Zio Zioi walked over and handed him a cup of blue milk tea. It's the same style as Mu Xiroxy's. However, Mu Xiroxy's was strawberry flavored, while his was blueberry flavored. Thank you, Zio Yi. You are welcome. At this moment, Mu Ziomo turned her gaze to Mu Xiroxy. Your beloved little Yi is right in front of you, sis. Why don't you hurry up and go for it? Brother, what are you saying? Mu Xiroxy shook her head shyly. My face turned bright red. Tusk, this girl is completely different at home and outside. It's normal for girls to be reserved, but at this time, we should leave them some time alone. So Mu Ziomo said, Zio Yi, my sister has something she wants to tell you. Wenwen, let's go for a walk together. Okay. Xuan Wenwen nodded. She knew that Mu Xiroxy especially liked Zio Zioi. It's perfectly normal to leave them some alone time. P.S. Zio Zioi is the son of the protagonist in Xiaming's second book. Silly and sweet desk mate. Xiaming feels very happy to have Zio Zioi and Mu Xiroxy together. Hey. Chapter 198, she shouldn't be called a girlfriend. She should be called a fiancé. And so Mu Ziomo left Mu Xiroxy standing there, unattended. They left with Xuan Taotao and Xuan Wenwen. Mu Xiroxy's face immediately turned red. Seeing how shy the girl was, Zio Zioi smiled faintly. He walked to Mu Xiroxy's side and slowly said, You were just on WeChat asking me to buy you milk tea, and you said you had a lot to say to me. Why aren't you saying anything now? Mu Xiroxy pursed her lips, looked up at Zio Zioi, and then said, I suddenly don't know what to say. Then let's have some milk tea first. I specially ordered it for you hot with strawberry oil. It's a new product from Diane. Try it. As he spoke, Zio Zioi opened the straw for her. Then I helped her insert it. He then asked, How have you been doing these past 6 months at Tsinghua and Peking University? On the other side, Hey, look at you, your sister already has Zio Yi. Brother Mo, when are you going to find a girlfriend? Xuan Taotao stretched out his arms and couldn't help but sigh. Xuan Taotao was the same age as him, but because he was a poor student, he only went to a teacher's college. Mu Ziomo did not reply to Xuan Taotao's words. He didn't tell him about his relationship with Mu Baining. Xuan Wenwen and he were in the same school, but not the same college, so Xuan Wenwen should not know about this. Don't talk about me, let's talk about you first. Did you write love letters to a lot of girls like you did in high school? Xuan Taotao is a womanizer. In high school, I often wrote love letters to girls. Almost every girl who wasn't ugly and had even a little bit of good looks had received his love letters. Even her sister received it. Because his father was a school teacher, he was often beaten with the sole of his father's shoe for this matter. Hey, don't even mention it. Xuan Taotao waved his hand and continued, I'm on the school girls' blacklist now. Mu Ziomo was taken aback. What did that mean? A blacklist of female students at the school. Xuan Taotao sniffed and turned to look at him. I consider you a brother, so please don't tell anyone. Mu Ziomo nodded. He's not a big mouth. Xuan Taotao trusted him completely, so he said, In the school, in a girls' dormitory building, I've written love letters to at least one person in each dormitory. At my peak, I was chatting with 60 girls at the same time. Mu Ziomo was completely dumbfounded when she heard Xuan Taotao's words. What is that? He was chatting with 60 girls at the same time. Holy crap, how does he manage to keep up with all that? He looked Xuan Taotao up and down. Apart from being a bit fat, he wasn't actually ugly. Besides, some girls nowadays like chubby guys. If you're chatting with 60 guys at the same time, you'll probably be able to chat with a few of them. 60, holy crap. Yes, Xuan Taotao nodded. Mu Ziomo then asked, and then, what happened next? Then all the girls found out, and He didn't continue speaking, but of course, upon hearing his words, Mu Ziomo knew what had happened. Awesome. He couldn't help but give him a thumbs up. Xuan Taotao glanced at his sister and quickly said, Sis, don't mention this to Dad when we get back. It's too damn embarrassing. But it's okay. I plan to continue pursuing female freshmen in my sophomore year, hee. Xing, but it's really outrageous that you're talking to 60 people at the same time. Don't talk about me, Brother Mo. Xu Tao Tao wanted to gossip about his situation. In any case, he was someone who received love letters from many girls in high school. What about you? A whole semester of university has passed and you still haven't found a girlfriend. Brother, do you think everyone is like you? He talked directly with a university professor. Xu Wenwen suddenly interjected, startling Mu Omo. So she knew. That's right, she and Mu Xioxi have a good relationship. Even if she doesn't know, Mu Xioxi will tell her. What the heck? Upon hearing his words, Xu Tao immediately turned her gaze to him, and in an incredulous tone, she said, Brother Mo, my sister is right, isn't she? That's right. He nodded. She's upstairs, do you want to see her? Holy crap. Upon hearing this, Xu Tao Tao uttered a phrase from the classic Chinese text. You even brought her home for the new year. Okay. He nodded. He enjoyed seeing Xu Tao Tao's surprised expression. He then gave him a mischievous smile, raised an eyebrow, and asked, So, when are you planning to have children? If you want to have children, I have a folk remedy for having twins, a boy and a girl. Mu Omo was stunned. Folk remedies for conceiving twins, boy and girl. Seeing his surprised expression, his tone became more serious. Have you forgotten? Your dad, Zioya's dad, and my dad know each other, right? Mu Omo nodded. He continued, Look, your mother gave birth to you and Xioxi. Zioya's mother gave birth to him and Zio Yin. And my mom gave birth to me and Wenwen. Mu Omo was stunned. Holy crap, what he said wasn't entirely wrong. What the hell? That's outrageous. Xu Tao Tao continued. The reason for this is that they all listened to the folk remedies my dad told me about. Then my dad passed this folk remedy on to me. Xu Tao Tao made a gesture as if he was a little short on cash lately, and said with a mischievous smile, So Brother Mo, do you want this folk remedy? He shook his head. What the hell do you want? Mu Baining is pregnant now. Besides, this guy obviously wants money, okay? If you want to know, you can just ask your dad. Mu Omo grinned. You might not believe it, but my baby will be born in 10 months. Xu Tao Tao was initially stunned. Then he waved his hand and said, Don't joke around, how could it be that fast? Just a few months ago, we were high school graduates, and now, only half a year later, your wife is pregnant. I don't believe it anyway. Fine, don't believe me then. After thinking for a moment, Mu Omo turned on her phone. The phone's photo album contains Mu Baining's medical examination results. After opening the photo, Mu Omo held the phone screen close to his face. You won't believe me, just look. Xu Tao Tao was taken aback, and his gaze unconsciously drifted to his phone's screen. A few seconds later, he blurted out, Holy shit. Holy crap, it's true. Your girlfriend is pregnant. No, no, no. Mu Omo shook her head. I can't say girlfriend, I should say fiancé. P.S. I'm shamelessly asking for some flowers or a gift. I'd be eternally grateful. Chapter 199, Pregnancy, makes you dumb for 3 years. Blanche. Xu Tao Tao's face darkened. Damn it, these days it's really infuriating to compare yourself to others. Other people are already holding their babies in 10 months, but he doesn't even have a girlfriend. It even got blacklisted by the school's female students. The difference is truly enormous. Shaking his head, Xu Tao Tao's eyes suddenly lit up. Brother Mo, teach me, I feel like your emotional intelligence is incredibly high. Look how handsome you are, and then. Xu Tao Tao went on and on and on. The real purpose was to get him to teach him how to flirt with girls. Unable to resist his persuasive words, Mu Omo used his experience of the past few months to teach Xu Tao. First, do it this way, then do it this way. Blah, blah, blah. One of them dares to learn, and the other dares to teach. Time flies. After walking around the neighborhood a few times, he received a message from Mu Xioxi. He said he would wait for her downstairs. Just then, Xu Tao Tao's father, Xu Tiansheng, called him home. So he waved to Mu Omo. Brother Mo, I'll head back now. I'll treat you to dinner another day. Okay, let's go back. I should be the one treating you. After the three said goodbye to each other, Mu Omo hummed a little tune and walked into the residential area. When they arrived downstairs, Mu Xioxi was indeed standing there playing on her phone. Upon seeing her, Mu Omo's face darkened. It's so late and it's so cold outside. Why don't you go upstairs first? Mu Xioxi replied, If I had gone up there earlier, Mom wouldn't have seen you and would have scolded me for not protecting you properly. All right, that's enough. Mu Omo rolled her eyes at him and asked, "So, did you confess to your little brother Yi? Confessing my feelings? What a load of rubbish." Mu Zioxy shook her head and continued, "My little brother is still young. He's just a high school student and hasn't even gone to university yet. Let's talk about it after he gets into university." "Oh, that makes sense." As the two were talking, the elevator arrived at the first floor. Mu Omo and Mu Zioxy quickly went inside, and only then did they feel a little warmer. After returning home, Mu Zioxy became very close with her parents, Mu Baining and grandparents. Mu Omo returned to his room, lay on his bed, and stared at the ceiling. "Call." He took a deep breath and then brought up the system. The system told him last time that it had given him 20 million yuan in startup capital, a 1,000 square meter industrial park in Shanghai, and a 4-story office building. "I don't know how I'll give it to him." He opened the system's virtual warehouse and was surprised to find that it was indeed there. 20 million yuan in startup capital can be withdrawn to your bank card immediately. 1,000 SQM Industrial Park in Shanghai, located in Phoenix Industrial Park, Shanghai. The 4-story office building is located in the Oriental Building in Pudong New Area, Shanghai. Mu Omo was stunned after seeing the text above. Good grief, they actually gave it to him. First, he clicked to withdraw the money. About 2 seconds later, the phone rang. "Ding tilde. Your card ending in 6391 received a cash transfer of 200 million yuan at 21:59 on February 9th. Your current balance is 230,300,000 yuan. ICBC, Huaxia Industrial and Commercial Bank." Upon seeing the numbers above, Mu Omo was overjoyed. Goodness, over 20 million has really arrived. With this money, starting a company will be no problem at all. As for the industrial park and the 4-story office building, that's where the company is located and where it produces goods. A 1,000 square meter area is quite large and can be put into use. From now on, he will be a father and the pillar of his family. Just as Mu Omo was lost in thought, suddenly the door to the room was pushed open. Snap! That's right, the person who came was Mu Baining. Seeing Mu Omo lying on the bed, staring at the ceiling, Mu Baining was taken aback, then came over and touched his forehead with the back of her hand. He asked, "What's wrong? Are you sick? What are you thinking about, staring at the ceiling?" Upon hearing Mu Baining's voice, Mu Omo quickly sat up. Then she shook her head and said, "How could I be sick? I was just wondering whether the baby in your belly is a boy or a girl." At this moment, Mu Omo suddenly remembered that the system could speak. Can the system help him answer this question? Just as he was thinking about this problem, the system's voice came through. Reporting to the host, Mu Baining is carrying a girl. Current pregnancy duration, 13 days. He was slightly taken aback upon hearing this news. Goodness, it's a girl. Although they weren't twins, the girl was indeed lovely. After all, girls are their father's little darlings, even if they might be a bit timid. Mu Zioxy is like that. Compared to her mother, she has a better relationship with her father. At this moment, Mu Omo revealed a maternal smile. Mu Baining looked at her as if she were an idiot. "Momo, what's wrong with you? Are you feeling unwell? Should we go to the hospital?" "No, no, no." He shook his head heavily. "My intuition just told me that the baby in your belly is a girl. I'm thinking about what name to give my baby. This question should definitely be answered by our most handsome reader. Feel free to write a comment with your thoughts." Mu Baining frowned. "A baby girl." She murmured, "How do you know it's a girl? Intuition is unreliable." "Oh, by the way, what did I want to talk to you about?" Mu Baining scratched her head. "I just entered the house because I did have something to discuss with Mu Omo. But once I came in, I forgot everything I wanted to say." Mu Omo was taken aback upon hearing Mu Baining's words. I forgot." After thinking for a while, Mu Baining still couldn't remember why she came to find Mu Omo. Soon she scratched her head and left the room. Looking at Mu Baining's back, Mu Omo was completely baffled. Could this be the pregnancy brain that lasts for 3 years? Just then, the sound of fireworks going off outside the window suddenly rang out. Whoosh! He couldn't help but stand on the windowsill and look out the window. Countless fireworks burst forth in the vast starry sky. Just then, his cell phone rang. "Grandpa, your grandson is calling." Mu Omo was stunned. "Holy crap, what's going on? Why did my phone ringtone change to this? Have I been infected with a virus?" He quickly took his phone out of his pocket. The caller was an unfamiliar number. "Shanghai. Classmate." Mu Omo was slightly taken aback. But without thinking much, she pressed the call button. At the same time, a voice came from the other end of the phone. "Hello, are you Musayomo?" The voice belonged to a middle-aged man, whose Mandarin was fairly standard. Musayomo nodded. "It's me. Hello, I am Wang Dakyang, the person in charge of Imei's Shanghai headquarters." Chapter 200, What's going on? Why hasn't this girl come out yet? Are you starving? Person in charge. Wang Dakyang. Musayomo was a little confused after hearing his words. During the Lunar New Year, don't the people in charge of Imei take a break? His drone technology has been fully developed at Moke University, and Elim, as the #1 food delivery platform in China, must have been attracted by his technology. I suppose the reason I called him this time was to talk about this matter. Hello. Since it was Chinese New Year and people were busy making money, Musayomo didn't hang up on him directly. Instead, she intended to give him some face. "Hello, Mr. Mu." Wang Dakyang's voice was tinged with laughter, but he didn't directly mention business matters. "Happy New Year, There's only a little over an hour until the new year. I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I've decided to make this call to you." Musayomo was taken aback, wishing him a happy new year. To be honest, he felt a little embarrassed. "That's so awkward. This is absolutely outrageous. Happy New Year to you too." Wang Dakyang also noticed that this opening was not good, so he said, "Well, actually, the reason I called you this time is that our company is very interested in your drone technology." Wang Dakyang's words were exactly what Musayomo expected. Wang Dakyang continued, "So I hope we can talk in detail after the new year." Wang Dakyang also knew that it was difficult to explain over the phone. The reason I called him this time was to show the company's sincerity. Upon hearing this, Musayomo thought about it carefully. In fact, he is particularly lacking in certain areas of experience. Construction companies also need time to develop. While drone delivery technology has been successfully implemented at the University of Science and Technology of China, there are indeed many limitations if it is to be applied to the wider society. So he wanted to see what Imei meant. Musayomo said, "Sure. Actually, I've been wanting to contact your company for a while, but I haven't been able to find your contact information." Hearing Musayomo's words, Wang Dakyang was overjoyed. He didn't expect Musayomo to agree so readily. He said, "I am very grateful to Mr. Mu for giving us this opportunity to exchange ideas." "When do you have time?" Musayomo thought for a moment. Since Mu Baining is already pregnant, her parents must be very eager to see her. Therefore, Musayomo plans to return to Shanghai on the 8th day of the Lunar New Year, take care of a series of matters related to the office building and industrial park. Then you can just stay at Mu Baining's house. There is no doubt that her parents love her very much. Her parents would definitely be happy to let me stay at her house. Musayomo said, "Around the 10th, I'll contact you then, and we can have a meal together and chat." "Okay, then it's settled." Wang Dakyang's tone was tinged with excitement. Musayomo hummed in agreement. "Okay, I have something to do here, so I'll hang up now. Goodbye, Tilda." "Goodbye." Musayomo sighed after hanging up the phone. "Call." Before he could think further, Mu Baining walked in again. He turned his head when he heard the door open. "Ning Ning, do you remember why you were looking for me earlier?" Mu Baining scratched the back of her head. Just now, she actually wanted to call Musayomo to go out and set off fireworks. "I can't believe I forgot this. Let's go down and set off fireworks. Zioxy bought a lot of fireworks. Let's go quickly." Musayomo's face darkened. "How could you forget this? It's true what they say, pregnancy makes you stupid for 3 years." And so Musayomo, Mu Baining, and Mu Zioxy, along with their grandparents and parents, came downstairs. Mu Zioxy then took out her favorite sparkler and played with it like a carefree child. Not far away, Grandpa looked at Musayomo, Mu Zioxy, and Mu Baining and couldn't help but say something. "Honey, look at Zirozai. She looks just like Tang Tang back then. Carefree." Yes, seeing this scene, their memories went straight back to when their children were young. "When we were little, the two of us played like this too. I never imagined that my child's child would be so grown up now. Time waits for no one, but it's fine this way." On the 1st and 2nd days of the Lunar New Year, we visit relatives with our parents. He introduced Mu Baining to his and Zai's extended family. Over the next few days, the family chatted together and explored the cities surrounding Shinkai City. Before we knew it, it was already the 8th day of the lunar month. That is, the day Musayomo planned to return to Shanghai. My parents were busy today and didn't see them off. My grandparents are getting old and don't have as much energy. At this moment, Mu Xeroxy was standing at the entrance of the high-speed rail station with a pitiful expression. Brother, how can you bear to leave me all alone here? How could you be so heartless? Mu Xiomo chuckled. Why is this girl crying now? You're not a child anymore. I need to go back to Shanghai to take care of your sister-in-law. You can come to Shanghai to see me when you have time. Oh, Tilda. Although she was a little reluctant to leave, Mu Xeroxy still waved to them. Go back, little sister. Stay with Grandpa and Grandma for a few more days. You won't see him again when school starts. Okay, Tilda. Because of time constraints, Mu Xiomo and Mu Baining quickly entered the station. Pick up your ticket, board the train. The new year is over, and many people who work in other places are about to return to their tiring cities. Some people even had tears in their eyes. Some people, after getting on the bus, would lie down on their seats, exhausted, and fall asleep. After getting into the car, Mu Baining felt a little drowsy. Soon, she leaned on his shoulder and fell asleep. More than 3 hours later, the bullet train arrived in Shanghai. At this moment, Mu Baining was still fast asleep on his shoulder. Mu Xiomo gently patted her shoulder. Then she said, Ning Ning, we've arrived in Shanghai. Let's hurry home. Upon hearing Mu Xiomo's voice, Mu Baining softly hummed in response. Then she slowly opened her beautiful eyes. Looking out the window, I realized we had indeed arrived in Shanghai. We've arrived. She wasn't sleepy enough yet. I don't know why, but I've been feeling particularly sleepy ever since I got pregnant. We've arrived. Your dad just called me and said he's waiting for us at the exit. Okay, sure. Mu Baining nodded slightly. Then he slowly stood up with his suitcase. We walked together toward the exit. Meanwhile, Mu Changle was anxiously waiting at the exit. He saw people coming out one after another, but he couldn't see Mu Baining and Mu Xiomo, and he was getting anxious. What's going on? Why isn't this girl coming out yet? You're really driving me crazy. Chapter 201 Free System, a house. After all, Mu Baining was already pregnant. Although it was a short time, he was anxious. Mu Changle looked up at the exit, and after another 5 or 6 minutes, he saw Mu Xiomo and Mu Baining walking over. It's finally here. Mu Changle waved to the two of them. Here, Ning Ning. Even from a distance, Mu Xiomo could see Mu Changle, dressed in a light blue police uniform, waving at them. This police uniform, well, it's very eye-catching. If you didn't know better, you'd think there was some criminal suspect here. Mu Baining felt somewhat embarrassed upon seeing this. Why is Dad wearing a police uniform to pick them up? It would be terrible if people misunderstood. She came over excitedly and asked, Dad, why are you here in your police uniform? What's wrong with the police uniform? Mu Changle looked her up and down, and considering that she was pregnant, he didn't continue to argue with her. What, does your dad being a policeman make you look bad? Oh dear Dad, what nonsense are you talking about? Mu Baining shook her head repeatedly. How could you possibly embarrass me? All right, I just got back from the police station and didn't have time to change my clothes. Mu Baining went straight up and hugged Mu Changle. Mu Changle glanced at Mu Xiomo beside him and said, Ning Ning, what are you doing? How old are you and you're still hugging me? You should hold Xiomo. Buff. Mu Xiomo shook her head. It's okay, Uncle. I'll get the luggage. Ning Ning has missed you after not seeing you for so many days. At this moment, Mu Changle turned his head away. He stared at Mu Xiomo and said, Momo, it's clear that Ning Ning has been eating well at your house these past few days. He glanced at Mu Baining's face and said with a smile, Look how well you've raised Ning Ning to be so fair and chubby. Ning Ning, do you think my cooking is better, or Xiomo's parents' cooking? After being asked this question, Mu Baining thought about it carefully. The food her dad makes is in a completely different league from the food Xiomo's dad makes. There is absolutely no comparison. Mu Changle thought Mu Baining would give him some face. Unexpectedly, she spoke up quite decisively. Dad, the food you make and Xiomo's dads make are completely incomparable. Mu Changle almost spat out a mouthful of blood. This girl really doesn't give him any face at all. What a filial son. During the conversation, they had already left the exit and arrived in front of a police car. Opening the trunk, there was just enough room for 2 people's luggage. Get in the car, I'll take you home. We still have a lot of work to do at the police station later. Thank you for your hard work, Dad Tilda. After getting on the bus, the two of them sat together in the back. At the same time, Mu Baining turned her attention to Mu Xiomo. She asked, Momo, there are less than 10 days until school starts, so you need to prepare your lessons well. After all, we can't afford to jeopardize the children's future. I know. Mu Xiaomo nodded slightly. He didn't feel any pressure about being a professor and teaching. The main thing is to discuss the Amei thing with Wang Daqiang. Seeing Mu Xiaomo's inexplicable confidence, Mu Baining didn't say anything more. It's already the 8th, the Spring Festival is over, and the city of Shanghai is getting busy again. During the casual conversation, the car soon arrived at Xingfu residential area. Mu Changlei parked the car on the side of the road, then turned his head and said, "There are quite a few cases that haven't been processed during the Spring Festival, so I won't take you two upstairs." You can tell from Mu Changlei's words that he does indeed have many things to deal with. They were picked up in a police car, which must have been done in a busy schedule. "Thank you for your hard work, Dad. I'll cook for you tonight." Mu Baining chuckled, and at the same time, Mu Xiaomo gently patted her head. "Ning Ning, what nonsense are you talking about now? You're pregnant. Didn't you promise me you wouldn't cook for the next few years? Don't you know that cooking fumes will affect the baby's health?" "I was wrong, Momo." Hearing the two talking, Mu Changlei chuckled. "I'll do it when we get back. Xiaomo, you must take good care of Ning Ning." "Don't worry, Dad." Nodding, Mu Changlei did not continue to see them off. It seemed like something urgent had happened. The car drove off quickly. Mu Baining looked at the rear of the car and sighed. "Dad is so busy. After all, they are criminal police officers. It's normal for them to be busy since the new year has just passed, and they have many tasks to complete." After hearing his words, Mu Baining hummed in agreement. "That's true every year. My dad does this. However, he's about to retire." Mu Baining touched her belly and smiled. "After the baby is born, I'll let him retire early." Mu Baining had actually thought this way for a long time. She knew that her father worked very hard as a criminal police officer. Sometimes there is even danger. Once we have children, we can ask her to help take care of them at home. "Okay," Mu Xiaomo nodded. "Don't worry, Ning Ning, I will definitely take good care of your parents in the future." Both of them are only children, which is indeed difficult for the couple. After all, we have to take care of both sets of parents. Of course, my dad has money. We can just have him buy an apartment in Shanghai when the time comes. Wouldn't that be more convenient? The two walked together towards home, and at the same time, Mu Baining couldn't help but ask, "By the way, honey, will you be living at school after the semester starts?" She was a little embarrassed to speak up. She vaguely remembered that Mu Xiaomo had said he wanted to live with her after the start of the semester. Mu Xiaomo was taken aback when she heard her words. 20 million can buy a house in Shanghai. But since it's startup capital, we should use this money for starting a business. Just ask the system for one. They should give it to me, right? The system's voice came as soon as the thought crossed Mu Xiaomo's mind. "I'm sorry, host. I can't give you the house directly." So stingy." Mu Xiaomo thought to herself. "Then hurry up and trigger a mission for me. The reward is just a 170 square meter apartment at Magic University. I've seen shameless hosts before, but I've never seen one this shameless." The system was speechless. At the same time, the system's voice came through. "Ding, congratulations to the host for triggering a mission. Task, take 10 steps. Reward is a 188 square meter fully furnished apartment in Shanghai." Upon hearing the system's voice, Mu Xiaomo was completely bewildered. "Holy crap, this is okay. Take 10 steps." Just as Mu Xiaomo was shocked and bewildered, Mu Baining couldn't help but wave her hand in front of him. "Momo, you're spacing out again." Yes." After walking 10 steps, "Ding, congratulations to the host for completing the mission. The reward is a 188 square meter fully furnished apartment in Shanghai. The paperwork has been sent to your email. Please use the paperwork to go to Shanghai #1 Courtyard to complete the registration." Chapter 202, I must give Momo a Ferrari. Holy crap, really? Upon hearing the system's feedback, Mu Xiaomo was particularly eager to push her luck. Just as he continued to make some unreasonable demands, the system's voice continued to play. "The system will continue to serve the host after 48 hours. Goodbye, host Tilda. Why is this system so dramatic? 48 hours later, let's have another task." "System, you're dreaming." At this moment, Mu Xiaomo completely ignored the system. The system has already helped him enough. He turned his gaze to Mu Baining. "Oh dear, I had completely forgotten about this. I bought an apartment in Shanghai #1 Courtyard. Let's put our luggage down and go complete the formalities." Upon hearing this, Mu Baining was momentarily stunned. What is that? Did you buy an apartment in Shanghai #1 Courtyard?" The main point is that Mu Baining currently owns a house. Although she was far from Shanghai University of Science and Technology, She really wanted to go too and from get off work with Mu Omo every day and eat the meals he cooked in the evening. Unexpectedly, he actually bought a house. It's mainly Shanghai #1 Courtyard. As a native of Shanghai, she knew how expensive Shanghai #1 Courtyard was. It seems like 1 square meter costs 150,000. Moreover, the houses there are all 150 square meters or more. If Mu Omo buys the smallest house, plus all the miscellaneous expenses, it will cost at least 25 million. Where did he get so much money? Mu Baining looked incredulous. Noticing her expression, Mu Omo said, "This money was secretly given to me by my father. He told me to take good care of you in Shanghai, and then he bought this house directly." Mu Baining hummed in agreement. She really didn't know what Mu Omo's family background was like. She had only heard that his